Boiling Spring Bulldogs versus the Dorman Cavaliers, Bojangles' Friday night rivals.
Another Friday night in the Carolinas, another county battle. With that, we welcome you to Bojangles' Friday night rivals, alongside my broadcast partner, Tom Van Hoy, Jason Patterson with you. And Tom, now pushing ever closer to kickoff between a couple of teams with postseason recent history between them, and a whole lot of history when you talk about Bowling Springs versus Dorman.
I tell you what, it's always a big game, particularly in 5A Region 2, and of course, coming off the outstanding win, Dorman over Burns, and it's a Bowling Springs team that bounced back after a loss to Gaffney, played well last week, and anticipate a very good ball game here tonight.
Playoff aspirations on both sides, but you have to roll through this difficult region to get there. That makes tonight all the more important.
Yeah, seedings are a big deal at the end of the year, and it's early on, but each game is very important. And this one is right up there with all the games that they're going to play this year.
This is also a night that you do some scoreboard watching, because any of these teams battling it out in Region 2, all in the mix for something special.
Well, and you take a look at historically, and these teams eventually have played for the state championship. In many cases, get to the upper state, got to get it, then you got to go through Dutch Fork sometimes, and both these teams have done that.
So it is the Dorman Cavaliers welcoming in the Boiling Springs Bulldogs. Kind of nights we enjoy on Bojangles' Friday Night Rivals. We got kickoff coming your way on the other side of the break. Dorman Cavaliers taking the field as they welcome in Bowling Springs. This one has a little extra on it. Dorman coming off a big win last week against rival Burns, taking on another Spartanburg County rival, one that knocked them out of the playoffs a year ago. So this one with a little extra on it, perhaps, as we look at our Spartanburg, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram keys to the game.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bowling Springs stopped the run. They need to get off the field. Dorman, 205 yards per game. 74% of their runs, plays are runs. Energy, effort, discipline. Want to play physically and mentally tough as well. Dorman, you want to control the quarterback if they can, contain Emory Logan, and then complementary football. Want to play at all phases of the game.
Take a look at them. They're still coming in behind the graphic there. Those are our Spartanburg, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram keys to the game. That's because Dorman, one of the largest high schools in the state, yes. Certainly one of the finest facilities that you will ever experience. This better, you hear it often, right? Better than a lot of small colleges you can go to. The facilities here, and certainly the support that they receive, and the fans continue to file in to see his team. Third-year head coach of the Cavaliers. He's a North Greenville product in his own right. This is his 11th year, though, with this Dorman program. He's looking across to the other side where Bowling Springs is taking the field. Bulldogs need a like tonight, Tom, to catapult them into the thick of the Region 2 race.
Well, they do, and they came off a really nice win last time out as they were able to win over Eastside 42-17. That came after a tough loss at Gaffney, 34-7, and turned the ball over 4 times, 4 interceptions, made that change at quarterback. We'll get into Emory Logan as well and what they've been able to accomplish since then, but coming off with a little bit of momentum.
Matt Brill, who is responsible for leading that team to the charge. A lot of respect between these two coaches, and both of them talking about the things they're pleased with from their respective teams, but also a handful of things they want to tighten up moving forward as we hit the middle stretch of the season.
Yeah, 5 games in, you play 3 non-conference in one of the toughest regions. We talk all the time, 5A Region 2 in the state of South Carolina. You're playing to win the championship if you can. You're playing for seeding and all kinds of things. And it's a nightly situation when it comes to this particular region. Year ago, Boiling Springs had a really good season. They lost a couple of tough ball games to Burlington Gaffney, still finished 7-4, and beat this Dorman team 32-0 first round of the playoffs. Then they, of course, ran into Dutch Fork, but that's the first time they had beaten them in 10 games.
Yeah, it's a circle it up moment in the history of that program, but you think about all they lost from a year ago off that team that these young pieces are now having to try and replace as they roll in here to Dorman tonight. But a key conference region victory on the line, as we talked about in this one, and also Spartanburg County bragging rights. Glad you've taken time to join us on Bojangles Friday Night Rivals. Captains met in the middle of the field moments ago. The toss was won by Boiling Springs. They opted to receive the football. So the visiting Bulldogs wanting to put the offense out there first.
Yeah, give it a shot. They're coming off an outstanding performance last time out, and it's a Dorman team that this is the 3rd year for Jake Morris, and had that tough 3-8, 6-4 last year. Didn't finish the way they wanted to, but he feels like he's got a pretty experienced team, getting better as the season's gone on. They've been good this year.
A couple of coordinators he's brought in too that have changed the complexion of things, something we'll get into before the day is done. And on the other side, well-traveled. There'll be some familiar names we'll discuss in that vein, but the well-traveled head coach the Bulldogs bringing his team in here tonight across the Carolinas and beyond. Turn going to be up across the 10 to the 13. That's about all, as those light blue, those trademark Dorman jerseys are there to swallow it up. Smoke still bellowing after all the activities of earlier. And, you know, again, the number of those of all ages they allowed to work their way through that helmet, they just kept on coming for a while, and leads itself to the reminder of just how important a night this is at Dorman. Here's the Boiling Springs offense out onto the field under the direction of the QB, and here's Emory Logan getting set to lead them to the charge.
A young man that really blossomed his last time out. Josh Call had played a little bit there, had the turnover issues they did at the game prior to that, but a very solid performance. 4 TDs, no interceptions, 341 yards passing last week.
First play from scrimmage, they're going to swing a little pass out far side, trying to make a man miss it just across the 10, and will do so. There's Kyron Tobler. Take a look at the defense, or excuse me, the offensive alignment first for Boiling Springs.
We talked about Logan, the quarterback. He's got a couple of north-south guys. Wide receiver Grayson Crow, tight end H-back Jaden Great 3 touchdowns against the east side, and then that offensive line with Owen Rookstool, the senior center, anchors that O-line.
Inside, right through the heart on the left hash of that defensive look, into the teeth of it for Boiling Springs. So a little pass to get things started, and the first play from scrimmage that handles things on the ground. A little mix-up between the two as you look at Dorman's defense.
Yeah, I got some top guys. D-tackle Christian Waring, Shrine Bowl, going to App State. Zay Meadows is a north-south guy right next to him. Catavius Polo Anderson, a Clemson commit, Shrine Bowl guy, and Jabez Thomas into the secondary. 4 interceptions, 2 against Burns, 1 return for a touchdown.
So touch of the football for Tobler, swing a pass out his direction, and then all the work done on the ground. We'll have a number they'll be getting the football in the hands of, the likes of this individual. There's Grayson Crow, who receives the toss. And Boiling Springs getting the job done on this 3rd down play.
Yeah, that's a big one there. Keeps the drive alive. Savage comes up and makes that hit in the secondary.
That's the First Franklin Financial first down. Our initial movement of the chains tonight brought to you by First Franklin Financial. Initial drive freshly underway between the Bulldogs and the Cavaliers. Keeping it himself this time is Logan, and Logan's up near the 30. That's about half the yardage needed. That's something the Bulldogs would take all night on first down, Tom.
Yeah, it's one that you have to account for. He has that dual threat ability, and you know, talking about a young man that has also rushed 7 for 44 and a touch coming in, and prior to that he played a little receiver, caught it 5 times for 41 yards. So yeah, he settles in at that quarterback spot now, kind of solidifying.
As his team in a second down, they're going to call it a long 4. Springs setting a tone and a pace of being very methodical in this opening drive. And here is another give to the back. Tobler again with it. A couple of touches to his credit already on the ground. And third down coming. Already one conversion here. Remember, on the last third down, they tossed it out to Grayson Crow. Let's see what they opt to do on third down and 3.
And Jason, of note too, as we get going here talking with Coach Reel, they've got a couple of different offensive linemen that are starting tonight because others are banged up. So have to take that into consideration as the game goes on.
Also missing one of their major defenders, which we'll talk about when they're out there on the other side of the ball. Bowling Springs hoping that's not going to be for a while, but this is a key third down to that end. Unleashing one, but that's going to be short of his deep target around the 40 on the other side. And fourth down is coming.
Yeah, under pressure that time and rolling to his left, having to throw across his body. The penetration up front. And it was led by Donovan Andrews, an outside linebacker at 6 feet 170. The senior put pressure on him and went down hard over there on the far sideline as you take one look at him. Kind of coming off.
Well, first drive behind us in a series that Dorman leads all time, 39 to just 6 wins for Bowling Springs. But Tom told you one of those 6 in the playoffs a season ago, perhaps the biggest of the victories all time in the meetings between these two schools. This latest underway with Bowling Springs coming up empty after receiving the kick. And Dorman's first crack at it offensively coming. Pete Slidell, you know, at the helm of this team as they get set to go to work, trying to build upon what was a statement victory last week on the road against Burns.
Really good Burns team. Lost a tough one to Irmo, and is going to be highly competitive. The renovated stadium, 6,000 plus. You'd have looked at Meek Slidell. You and I might have done a game a couple of years ago at Asheville when he was playing there. He is a good 7 out of 11 throwing the ball last week. They ran it 42 times, 74% of the run plays come on the ground. So we'll see how that plays out.
How good has he been for the Dorman Cavaliers? How good will he be? That may help determine how deep this team goes in 2025. His first look is going to be a toss far side, and there's Mickler, and he's going to work his way down the far side a little further. In fact, he will not be caught until he reaches the end zone for pay dirt. What looked to be just a little toss to get things going turns out to be a touchdown for Tragan Mickler. And Slidell and company make talked about a statement win, statement of their own with our first South Carolina Army National Guard touchdown of the night on just one play from scrimmage.
As I said, Jason, they don't throw the ball much, you know.
Don't need to.
Just a tackle broke that tackle there, and it goes about another 50 for a touchdown.
Dorman, after the defensive stop with a single play needed to secure a South Carolina Army National Guard touchdown and take the lead. Different story from the playoff scenario a year ago for the home team. Cavaliers getting things started with a bang against the Bowling Springs Bulldogs. Carolina Furniture Concepts is a presenting sponsor of Friday Night Rivals. They have over $5 million of furniture in stock and ready to be delivered to you. Visit their Arden and Waynesville showrooms or go online at CarolinaFurnitureConcepts.com. Well, here's a look at the initial touchdown of the night. It comes on just one play from scrimmage for the Dorman Cavaliers. And take a look at how quickly the playmaker breaks loose here, Tom.
Yeah, and amazing, too. If you break a tackle, had an opportunity there to knock him down for a relatively short game. But great composure there to keep his balance, and then took it the distance for the touchdown.
Tragan Mickler right where he needed to be, and you said it, it may not be an air it out scenario like we have seen at times from Dorman over the years in different eras, but they have so much they can do because of how well this team as a unit is able to execute, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, you want to stop the run. That's what we talked about. One of the keys Bowling Springs talking about. So what does Dorman come out to? It's a safe pass. Get it out on the edge. Maybe get a couple of yards if you can. Break a tackle. All of a sudden you got 58 of them and a touchdown.
Yep. Calling it 57 on the final analysis, just working its way to us via the stats. And Tom, you can do the drive chart. I can do the drive chart. We can all do the drive chart fairly easy that time, right? One play, 14 seconds, we're told, and 57 yards for a touchdown.
Where's Tim Amos when you need him?
I know.
Right?
We're gonna need Tim before the night is done. He'll I know be texting us and giving us some good work and some good words along the way, which we greatly appreciate. But just a single play for Dorman, even we can do that math, right? Here's a little bit of a gap in the return group, and that was a bit of an awkward landing. So you look to make sure everybody can get up unscathed. And it appears as if we do have a player down a little longer than you like to see on one of these kickoff plays. Boy, bodies really got tangled there as the return group saw an individual go airborne. Watch this at the very end as he's upended. And it's a Bowling Springs player that's going to be a little slow to get up here.
That might be the return guy. I think that's DJ Leak. A little bit slow there. I'm glad to see him get up under his own power.
And all is well as you get a look at some of those looking on intently with some tremendous concern on the far side. Nice crowd on the Dorman side of things, and Bowling Springs still with some of that trademark red and black rolling in here tonight as well. They'll be pleased to know. We're all pleased to know that that young man is up under his own power. Here's first down, Bowling Springs, now down a touchdown. Second touch of the football for the visitors from just across the county. A lot of direction being provided on that Dorman defense before this is swallowed up well behind the sticks this time. Working his way back off after coming on to handle that play. As they work 9 in there that time, Tom.
Yeah, that's Josh Call. He has played 3.5 games or so. He's got experience this year.
Logan back where he was to start things, and he'll unfurl one. He's got a man deep, but a little bit too much air underneath it for Crow. Remember, Crow caught the third down pass earlier that moved the chains. That was the initial first down of the night. They had designs on making him responsible for Bowling Springs' first touchdown, but he couldn't quite get to the
Man, he had him open. I mean, trying to get there just as quickly as he can is savage, and he just missed him. He had him wide open, just a little bit overthrown there. Took a deep shot.
Logan shows his arm after, as you said, they were calling for a single play. And third down is coming following the long pass attempt. Still behind the sticks. And how about 3 stacked up just on the lower side of this formation before a man goes in motion. It was Crow who was in motion. Cleared out some space to try to dump it off. But it is in and out of the hands of the intended target, which was Izell Johnson.
Yeah, had him out there, and Savage was coming up and would have had to make that tackle in the open field, but just couldn't reel it in.
So a quick 3 and out this time as the kicking unit is back on the field for Bowling Springs. The 7:27 mark of the opening period. Dorman up a score and looking like solid field position is coming. And that's a little trouble. Will this be a break for the Bulldogs? Actually stays with Dorman. So the return man, though it wasn't the prettiest of finishes here, is able to do what matters. He falls on the football and it stays with the Cavaliers.
Yeah, a little fortuitous hop there for Holden Flynn, and he's able to happiest guy in the stadium to get on top of that one. Again, let's take a look at.
Didn't have a chance to show you the Dorman offense earlier, so here's a look at the surrounding cast for Slidell.
Yeah, you see Nick Means and against Burns, 158 yards and a touchdown, 69 yards. Corey Cole out of the edge, 70.7 per catch, and anchored up front by 3-year starter left guard Nathan Choi.
Why didn't we have a chance to show you the Dorman offense earlier? One play, it was a 57-yard touchdown toss to Mickler. And Dorman goes to work with a 7-0 lead. That's going to come near side. And a look at the defense for Bowling Springs as they snuff this out.
Well, up front, led by defensive end Dennis Glenn Jr., leading tackler, 9 tackle for loss. Into the linebacking core, T.J. Collins, he's number 2 in tackles. And you get to the secondary, 23, Tyvion Hall, 4 interceptions. Now, Jeremiah Favorite, right cornerback, Shrine Bowl guy, Michigan State commit. We're told, Coach Real told us before the game, not going to play here tonight.
Tayshawn Watkins-Himes utilized in the Dorman offense that time. And they turn to Nick Means. First time we have called his name tonight, likely not the last time. He's a big piece of what the Cavaliers want to do all season long.
Yeah, 78 carries, 645 yards, 130 per game, 11 touchdowns, keep on going, 8.3, but what he got there on that particular carry. Boy, we have seen some really good running backs this year in our Bojangles Friday Night Rivals.
Yeah, the last couple of weeks, particularly right here in Spartanburg County, a couple of headliners that will have their say before the season is done. Maybe 3 or 4 of them when you add it all up. Here's a 3rd down play for Dorman, something they didn't have to utilize the last time around. Will be successful on this go, and it's another dose of Nick Means. You can move the chains. That is a First Franklin Financial 1st down.
I guess apropos is that Jamarcus Means makes the tackle there, did what he needed to do. He bounced it outside, didn't get ahead of himself, and just jam it up inside. And a nice little carry there for a 1st down.
All right, give us a sense of defensively what Bowling Springs needs to do tonight.
Well, he needs to stop the run, and after that 57-yard touchdown pass, but 205.4 on the ground. They've scored 18 touchdowns, 5.6 per carry. They'll establish the run and play off of that.
Well, plenty of room to run it this time. It means over the right side, goes all the way down to the 21-yard line. That's another First Franklin Financial 1st down, and he's knocking on the door of the First Bank red zone.
Well, we talk about the fact that they can put it on the ground, be effective, and they really like the experienced guys they got up front as you get one more look and the double teaming tackle there. But like 74% of their plays this year have been on the ground. That sets things up. Just 7 out of 11 against Burns. That's all you needed last week. And that was a really good win. They were down 14-10, came back and won that one 33-21 and scored a goal several phases of the game.
When you consider the environment, particularly, what did Coach Mars tell me? He said it was like old time when you think about the crowds that were there and the energy that was in the building. He knows something about it, a guy out of the Dave Gutshaw coaching tree. In fact, he said he had a conversation with Coach Gutshaw this week, does just about all the time. Guy who we certainly wish the very best in his continued retirement. One of the great legends in the history of football in South Carolina and beyond in the high school ranks. And there's another solid gain, this one into the First Bank red zone, and here comes 2nd down and short. So he's a guy who's seen these programs, seen these rivalries, understands these things through and through. Coach Mars, even though he's in his 3rd year at the helm of the program, 11 years here at Dorman, and a background that goes even deeper than that with the Cavaliers. This is going to be held by Slidell, and he's stacked up by white jerseys. Let's see where they spot this. Looked like he got back to the line of scrimmage, and that was all time. That would mean 3rd down and short.
Tamaje Brown coming up and making that play there, and doesn't run it all that much, but played well up front. This is a pretty big play right here.
4-0.
7-0 game.
Making his presence known. You said it, 3rd down, first critical 3rd down in the depths of Boiling Springs territory here for the Cavaliers. Inside the 10, that's a 1st down. It'll be 1st and goal as Dorman uses yet another weapon here.
Well, it's a nice read there. Up inside, it wasn't there, and just a little jump cut there. And he is able to take it, he being Isaac Tate, 5'8", 165 junior. He'll intersperse with the Means occasionally in there. That's a good run. He bounced it outside and got enough to keep the chains moving.
Tate, one of several having toted the football to this point. Slidell having done so himself on one occasion, most of it belonging to Means, those carries. This was looked like it was designed to go to Mickler, who had the touchdown catch earlier.
False start against the offense. 5-yard penalty. It remains first down.
But as you heard, it's a false start, and that's going to mean 1st and goal from outside the 10 now. Bowling Springs brought the pep band with them. You got to have all the pageantry that surrounds high school football on a beautiful Friday night like this, right? You got the fall wardrobe out now, I see, Tom. You're ready for the weather changes, which indicate football season is really here.
I have a few fashion faux pas.
Well, it's October now. You got to make sure you got the layers ready to go.
Oh. You
never know here in the upstate. Here's Means, and he's still barreling toward the goal line. No signal yet. There it is. Touchdown. Nick Means with a rushing touchdown to go alongside the toss earlier to Mickler, and Dorman set to double its lead pending the extra point after the run of 13 yards.
Man, look at that. I mean, the cuts that he made, it was a Means to the end zone.
I like what you did there. Let's see where you're going.
Occasionally, you give me enough chances.
South Carolina Army National Guard touchdown. And we'll take it one step further. Dorman sending a message they mean business in this one. 2 touchdowns on that many touches. This one belonging to Nick Means as the Cavaliers extend it to 14-0 here in the first.
Plays and stuff.
Yep.
Good.
8 plays, 47 yards, 320.
Yeah, that was close.
Yep. Boy. You got all the background on Bowling Springs, Coach. Talk about that when we get a chance.
Yeah.
Don't let game night dinner get you stressed. Stop by Ingles for great choices from the Ingles Deli. Rotisserie chicken, freshly made salads, and a delicious hot bar and sub bar. Dinner and a snap. Then it's off to the game. Ingles. Low prices. Love the savings. Closing in on 8 p.m. Solid start for the Cavaliers. Homestanding Dorman out front 14-0. 8 plays, 47 yards, 3 minutes, 20 seconds off the clock. And Ransom Forest kick just as true the second time around as it was the first. Tom, that 13-yard run by Nick Means. Dorman already showing you a couple of different ways they can do damage.
And he made about 13 cuts trying to get there. Took it up inside, bounced it to broken arm tackle, and then angled it in for the score.
Cavaliers picking up right where they left off from a week ago. As Bowling Springs returns this to the 39-yard line. You know, talking to some of the Dorman fans prior to the game, and they were talking about just how high their hopes are for this program. Spent some time with Chris Snyder prior to the game. He said sit with Trey Rogers' dad, a guy who helped lead this team to a championship 25 years ago, he reminded me. He said, you don't believe in things being accidents. This is 25 years later. He said, you know, the only team we lost to that year when we went all the way to the state championship, won the whole thing, Greenwood. He said, I've made a point to let the coaches know that. We certainly talk about it here. Again, it sits with Trey Rogers' dad, one of the great names in the history of Dorman football. This is a team that believes, Tom, they're in position because of the way they play football, both offensively and, as you see here, defensively, to make a deep, deep run this year. And the early returns on our first glance at them this year indicate they have all the horses.
A couple of years ago, 3-8. They've had talking about Dorman, 3 losing seasons. He talked about Coach Gutshaw since 1993, and one of them was 2 years ago. One of them was 4-6 a couple of years ago as well. And last year got a little bit better, and we talked with Coach this week about that and how he's developing and they're getting back to where they want to be.
By the way, Shell Doula's Greenwood Eagles, friend of ours, Coach Shell Doula.
Yeah.
Greenwood, they ended up running the table, and that was the only loss that Dorman experienced. There would be no losses on the Greenwood side of things that year, as both of them went on to separate classifications of state championship glory. So, you know, this is a Dorman team that would like to add its name to that. You think about how close they were in recent years, a couple of times against the team put itself up as a standard. Dorman had Dutch Fork on the ropes more than one occasion in the final stages of Coach Gutshaw's career, and certainly have the championships to prove it during his tenure here as he turned this program into one of the great powers in South Carolina. This is a team that, again, what you saw last week, what you're seeing in the early stages this week, looks that same type of talent looks to be here for Dorman this year. Defensively, they have Bowling Springs behind the sticks on 3rd down, having to step up and running into his own man as he tried to escape trouble is Logan. He goes down, and it's 4th and time for Bowling Springs to kick it away again. Boy, nice job to escape the difficulty initially, but he just could not quite get away.
Yeah, if he gets past, he didn't, and you know, a lot of what ifs there, but went down and gonna have to kick it out of there. You know, this is a Bowling Springs team. You go back to 2016, that's when Dutch Fork started things, won 5 in a row, including the 2 close ones, one up in overtime, 34-31 against Dorman, but Bowling Springs lost in 2016 to Dutch Fork at that time.
Yeah, there's a team that was right there. You know, one thing about these teams in this region of the state, they all at one time or another have played for a state championship and been right in the mix of the championship pursuit. This fair caught at the 45. That's where Dorman will take over. Cavaliers up a couple of scores. A 57-yard touchdown toss from Slidell to Mickler. What was set up to just be a screen far side went far more than that, and Nick Means with a 13-yard run the last time around, capping an extended drive as Dorman up 14-0. 2:21 to go in the opening period. What have you seen from the Cavaliers so far?
They've been strong. They've been able to do what they wanted to do, and after they threw the touchdown pass, they established that run. Good defensive play there. Just a short game, but that's what they want to do, and that'll open up some other things. And it's a Dorman team that is averaging 33.8. They've scored at least 30 points in every single game. And you talked about Greenwood, 42-41. That's their only loss.
Boy, how about a head of steam this time around coming in there? That may be the defensive play of the night so far for Bowling Springs, and it was Tamaje Brown getting the job done. You know, a little short-handed tonight. They will not have the services of Jeremiah Favorite, and that's important to remember, Tom.
Yeah, he's a Michigan State commit, and Coach Real telling us before the game not going to play tonight. Hopefully we'll get him back next week.
Also a Shrine Bowl participant upcoming when you think about the accolades that he has received along the way. So Bowling Springs, without one of their key playmakers on the defensive side of the ball, going to require what we saw just a moment ago. Other players to step up, and they now have Dorman in a 3rd and long.
Well, and the field position has been huge. It's just in the first quarter. Sometimes we talk about that throughout the course of the game, but from the 43 touchdown, 47 to Bowling Springs touchdown, 45 here, which brings up that 3rd down and long.
3rd, and it's going to be 9. They need the 45 on the Bowling Springs side of the field, and here's pressure. Flags come in right as the sack occurs as they swallow up Slidell. Tom, again, Bowling Springs answering the bell defensively here. Let's see who the call is against.
Holding against the offense. That penalty is declined. Brings up 4th down.
As you likely expected from the location of the flag, this is going to be a holding penalty. And Bowling Springs, having held, is set to get the football back from the Cavaliers. First stop of the night for the Bowling Springs defense.
Yeah, nicely done. That's Champion Floyd. A great first name there, the defensive end off that left side. He makes a play combination there, and it's what you're looking for. You're down a couple of touchdowns. You need to get something and some rhythm going on offense.
That's something to live up to, right? Champion.
Yes.
and playing like it on this night. This comes off of the Bowling Springs return man. Ball is loose. Dorman scrambling for it and celebrating as if they have it. They will. So for all the good work of the Bowling Springs defense moments ago, it appears as if Dorman comes away with the football after some difficulty on the punt return. Now there is a flag down at the 19-yard line, and Bowling Springs fans who have made the short trip to Roebuck got to be thinking, man, if only that could be something that would help us retain possession of the football, because as it stands right now, it's going to be his football. He and the Dorman Cavaliers covering that beautifully.
I think it was Jabez Thomas who came out of there, and what a game he had against Burns with an interception, couple interceptions, one 34 yards for a touchdown, and that final touchdown of the fourth quarter with 7:02 to go is what he took it from the Wildcat or the Gator formation.
Personal foul, a hit on a defenseless player against the blue team. It's a 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay, fourth down.
Well, those prayers we talked about for the Bowling Springs side answered. This is going to be against Dorman. It's a hit on a defenseless player as he was going for the football. Tough moment there. You heard the Dorman fans react, but Bowling Springs is going to force the Cavaliers to kick it again, Tom. That's a huge break for Bowling Springs.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think, the ball, I think he had touched it and it was live, so, but bottom line, that was the call.
Looked like off his pad there initially, perhaps, and you could see the reaction and response from the Dorman sideline. They thought another scoring opportunity was on the horizon.
Yeah, but as it goes against them and have to do it all over again. That's one thing about that oblong ball. You don't know. I mean, that was like a rocket shot, and you want to get it, and hopefully it doesn't bounce another 15 yards, but you can see what transpired there. So they're pushing back, and here's theory versus practicality. In theory, should end up with pretty good field position.
Cavaliers arguing that they were just playing football, but Bowling Springs going to be the beneficiary, you would think, of pretty good field position here at the 40-yard line. And again, credit the Bowling Springs defense forcing this into a 3rd and long moments ago that set the stage for now on the backside of the flag, their offense to get it back, a chance to try to cut into this Dorman lead. And circle that moment when it looked like it was completely trending Dorman moments ago. It was the Bowling Springs defense, 3 solid plays to force the punt, and on the second punt, which is a good one, it'll be the 31-yard line where Bowling Springs takes over. So huge penalty, one to remember in the back of your mind as Dorman was looking to perhaps open up an advantage here. Bowling Springs now catch your breath and move forward, because they were staring perhaps at a 17-0 or 21-0 deficit right at the end of the first period. Instead, Tom, go on the march here, put together a methodical drive. It would be a 1-score game. Let's see if the Bulldogs can capitalize. Final minute of the opening period just underway as Bowling Springs takes over from their own 31. Working through traffic up to the 45. And that's going to be good enough for a First Franklin Financial first down. Tom, by the way, that punt from Ranson, we should mention. Ranson Farr, 44 yards that worked it to the Bowling Springs 30 when it looked like there may be much better field position for the Bulldogs. And you see now the indication that a First Franklin Financial first down is in effect for Izell Johnson and company.
Boy, that's what they needed. They've been behind the sticks, and a little positive, little rhythm going offensively late in the first quarter.
Too many blue jerseys, that light blue Dorman trademark uniform being worn by Christian Waring. Waring headed to App State. He's another of the Shrine Bowlers on this Dorman squad, and he makes his presence known on the first down play.
He looks like a big guy, 6'4", 270, very agile, good footwork there. 6'4", 270 senior, Shrine Bowl, App State. Jason said just having a solid season so far.
He'll fit right in the mountains up there in Boone, right? Second down from behind the sticks as time runs out on the opening quarter. We'll see if time ran out before the flag came out on that collision. It was bang bang in terms of when the quarter ended and when the penalty occurred, and our officials going to get together and talk about it because of the timing. This will either be, looked like they were getting ready to march it off against Boiling Springs. Second and a little further behind the sticks are waved off for the end of the quarter. Here's the determination.
Prior to the snap, encroachment against the defense. It's a 5-yard penalty. It remains second down, and we do have one play. It'll be the last play of the first quarter.
All right, so check that. It goes against the defense, even though it looked like they were turning perhaps to go the other way with it.
Please reset the clock to 1 second.
They can stay that direction after this play. There is going to be a final play of the first period before sides are switched. And with the ball sitting right on that Dorman logo, Boiling Springs, the beneficiary of the penalty, now faces second down and around 7. So Dorman, very positive things in that first quarter, Tom, but a couple of penalties they would like to forget, making a difference in the game right now.
That is the one thing that we talked with Coach about, and he'd like to clean that up a little bit, the penalties.
Yeah, talked about the discipline and the execution there being the difference maker. There's the horn to sound the end of the first period as Izell Johnson makes third down a little more manageable to begin the second quarter. Here's a look at the second of Dorman's 2 touchdowns. Nick Means breaks loose, giving the Cavs a 14-0 lead after 1. Spartanburg Community College halftime report coming your way at the end of this second period, which is set to begin. And the band letting everybody know it's a Friday night in the upstate of South Carolina. Stick around for the Spartanburg Community College halftime show coming your way in just a bit. Third down for Boiling Springs. Tom, Bulldogs ran 15 plays, gained just 24 yards in that first quarter. In position to change the tenor of this one to start the second, and fighting for the 45 where first down yardage would be the reward. Let's see where they spot this. Down marker flipped over to 4th. It's going to be 4th and 1 from the 46-yard line. Boiling Springs keeping the offense out there. This drive an opportunity the Bulldogs do not want to see go by the wayside after what looked to be an even larger hole on the scoreboard following a potential turnover on a punt return. Boiling Springs saw the flag force a re-kick, and now at midfield looking to make it count. And flags come in. It's going to be a huge call on 4th and 1.
That's just a long count for your offensive lineman.
False start. against the offense. It's a 5-yard penalty.
To hold it that long,
It
and you got
remains
other guys jumping in
down.
there. You know, Jason, we're talking at the outset too. You've got a couple of new offensive linemen that are in there, and just to hold it, and the penalty going to
Take
push
it.
him back, and now you're going to punt it out of there.
Take it to 4th and 6, and now they'll kick it away. You read my mind, Tom. Return man's going to be back at the 19-yard line for Dorman. So while the field position is not as disastrous as it might have been earlier, Dorman is going to get the football back with that 14-0 lead in effect. Fair catch, and then lunging for it at the 24. That's where the Cavaliers will take over. Dorman up a couple of scores, looking for more when you return to Spartanburg County. Sponsor of WLOS Friday Night Football. It's not just football season, it's tailgate season. Head to Bojangles and order the tailgate box today. It's not a tailgate without Bojangles. It's bow time. Oh, the athletic history of the Dorman Cavaliers, those familiar colors and plenty of energy surrounding the athletics program here. Saw Flynn Harrell, he came in earlier.
Yeah.
And you know, such
him.
a big part of helping put Dorman on the map, still very involved from a radio standpoint and otherwise, and certainly we thank all the administrators, past, present, and those in line to make their mark on it as well moving forward. Thomas Ryan, you know, usually we run into him, who's led Dorman to so many basketball championships over the years.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe tuning in, who knows, as he continues to work his way back and a big part of what happens here in the upstate. So you always see his teams make their mark in the spring. You think about what volleyball's been here over the years. It's an athletic department and athletic program through and through. They make their mark. They lead at 14-0 here and looking for more. And on this second down play, quarterback going to work his way up the sideline, work out of bounds just shy of the 40. Probably should also say hello. David Holland likely watching, former Dorman Cavalier over at Regional tonight. Say hello, and certainly glad things hopefully going well and working positively there. Here is a first down. That's our initial Greenville awning first down of the night, but so many that you think of, or you think about the names of the players Dorman has put in college ranks, in the pro ranks. I mean, this is a team, Dorman's fingerprints all over the landscape of college football, professional football over the years, and that's true not just in the sport of football, but in all aspects. Every time we come here, and we say a big thank you to the folks at Dorman for welcoming us back for our annual visit to Dorman High School, we're reminded just how much of an impact Dorman athletics makes on South Carolina and beyond, Tom.
Well, they're doing it. It's one of the largest high schools and facilities here and in 5A Region 2 are, I think, unparalleled in the state of South Carolina, and probably for a lot of high schools in this part of the country. I know where you grew up, where I grew up in the Midwest, is you know, putting lime on the field and things like that.
Where I grew up, right here, and these facilities are still mind-boggling here in the upstate, the native land, when you consider just how much they've improved over the years. I mean, Dorman played in a facility last week. They switched it over at Nixon for Burns in one of the premier programs from the not too distant past, bringing their facilities up to speed with where we were at Spartanburg last week, where we are at Dorman tonight, where we'll be at Gaffney a week from now. I mean, it really is standard bearing when you consider the facilities and the approach to athletics.
Well, and if you want to be successful, you've got to have that kind of commitment from your community and the administration. as well if you want to be successful. And these teams and these schools have done that.
Saw Justin Mathis. He was on the sideline tonight as a part of the Dorman crew. You know what he mentioned to us? He said that you talk about community support. Lance and Linda Wilson would be watching tonight in Campobello. His grandparents celebrating 60+ years of marriage. So for all those in the community who are keeping an eye on all of these moments, and for all those working hard to bring them to you on the radio crews and beyond, a big thank you to make nights like tonight possible. And this is what it comes down to, right? The 10-yard fight, the stretching out of the chains, and this time, the answer just short.
Well, Boiling Springs needs to get something go, obviously, offensively, but this is a Dorman team. We mentioned they've scored at least 30 in every single game. The loss was 42-41 to Greenwood in overtime. And you think about that, defensively, they have given up 73 and 62 of them came in the 2 games against Greenwood and against Burns. So as much as we talk about the offense, you can't take the 42 away from Greenwood. Greenwood's number 7 there, and Dorman's number 6 at 5A, Burns 9 and 10 for Gaffney. So that gives you kind of a perspective. And Spartanburg's not even rated at this point.
And what I tell you about those two teams being connected, Greenwood and Dorman, from a quarter century ago. And you think about, Tom, that Spartanburg game next week, the Burns game last week. You know, the schedule for Dorman, it shakes out pretty nicely. Challenge, as always, as it is in Region 2. But the way it lines up, you got a chance. Control your own destiny, move your own plan forward. They got a 3rd down here to control the destiny of this drive just to top that familiar Dorman logo, and it is 3rd down conversion and then some. All the way down to the 22-yard line as the Cavaliers give it to Tate once more, and Isaac Tate has more than enough.
Well, that happens occasionally. You jam it at the line of scrimmage, and everybody's in the box there, and if you get past the initial contact there, you got a chance to do what he did right there and got a big gain before he was run down. Means able to bring him down before he gets into the end zone.
Now there's a Greenville awning 1st down, and it's just about to be another First Bank red zone opportunity. As Dorman is right outside the 20. Cavaliers give this time latest of those to have his name and number called. Yeah, that's the other thing about Dorman. You're reminded time and again just how many different weapons the Cavaliers have to keep throwing at you. Here's Carter Nash, whose name we call, as he's in the mix there, wearing jersey number 24. He takes it in to the First Bank red zone.
And you might have seen Jesse Rosales, the center, 5'10", 270 junior. And some of those guys, veterans up front. We talked about Choi 3 years, Rosales with 2 for Nate Gambrell, the left tackle, and a couple guys getting their first opportunities, E.J. Walker and Michael Jones on the right side.
That'll move some people around. Another trademark of this Dorman team over the years. You know, you talked about it on the defensive side a little bit earlier with Jabez Thomas in the Gator, one of those premier formations that Dorman will use from time to time. That goes all the way back to the Coach Gudshaw era when they run that Gator package that is one of their trademarks, and that is relying heavily upon those guys up front to make the space.
You know who was pretty successful doing that? Adam Humphries.
Yeah, he had his say in those, right?
He could also throw it to Sharon Peak if he wanted to.
Here's some room at the 5 and all the way down to the 2-yard line. There have been weapons along the way, and one of those right now for the Dorman Cavaliers means, and he works his way a little closer to pay dirt.
Yeah, just up inside, the patience that he showed there and used that stiff arm. And tell you what, the holes are there, and if you get a chance to tackle a tough, low center of gravity tough, if you go high, he's probably going to end up getting near the goal line.
He already has a 13-yard touchdown run, which made it 14-0 earlier. And it'll be his to tote on into the end zone one more time. Second touchdown of the night for Nick Means, and Dorman extends the advantage to 20-0. Number 1 in your program, what do they say? Number 1 in your hearts. He's certainly first in the number of touchdowns tonight for the Dorman Cavaliers, as he has the latest South Carolina Army National Guard TD run.
But I mean, watch the cut there. I mean, right there in the hole, ready to make that tackle with C.J. Burke, and we've seen that on a couple of occasions from Mean and also from Tate. The ability to make that cut
Touchdown's
and
good.
Get away and get yardage.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct against the scoring team. It's a 15-yard penalty Bowling Springs has elected to take it on the kickoff. We now have a try.
Means a touchdown on the counter. You heard after the play there was a penalty that Bowling Springs will have assessed against Dorman on the ensuing kick. So this is going to be a traditional extra point in an effort to make it 21-0. It's good. All three scores belong to Dorman. This one a little closer in, but a familiar refrain as it's Nick Means carrying it home. We welcome you back with tonight's Smile Cam, brought to you by Nth Degree Orthodontics. Nth Degree Orthodontics, providing smiles all across Carolina. That's Nth Degree Orthodontics, sponsors of tonight's Smile Cam. They have plenty to smile about here at Dorman, Tom. 3 touchdown drives and a 21-0 lead. That last one, 8 plays, 76 yards, 342 off the clock, and Means with a little bit of a shorter run for him that time around, but his second TD of the night. Dorman clicking on all cylinders, it seems, right now.
Yeah, turn around and hand the ball off. The big offensive line giving you plenty of room to do that and get into the secondary, and makes tackling difficult there with the momentum that's gained after you get about a 10-yard head start. Right now, 12-10 Gaffney at Eastside. Eastside give them 7-0 Spartanburg at Wade Hampton and 28-7 Burns at Riverside.
How about that? That's our destination next week. We will be at Gaffney with those Burns Rebels that Dorman handed that loss to on the road last week. We'll be rolling in there for one of the traditional rivalries in the upstate, that is Burns-Gaffney. So all those scores worth keeping an eye on. Here's Bowling Springs up to the 39-yard line on the return. And the Bulldogs taking over here. Each drive certainly seeming critical right now for Bowling Springs. They try to get something jump started here following the return of Trayshawn Suber that time.
Well, started from 13, 6 and a punt, 24, 3 and a punt, 39, 3 and a punt, and had it from the 31-yard line. Eventually would punt it now from the 39, and conversely, a really good field position for Dorman. They've been able to take advantage of it, thus the lead at this point.
Suber, who you saw there a moment ago, coming over from Broome High School, making the short trip over. Another of those just tucked inside Spartanburg County. The Broome Centurions, one of the fine football programs here in this portion of the world. That's tossed back for a long launch, and it is incomplete, arriving just at the nick of time. A couple of those defenders for Dorman to toss it aside, but you know, they show the arm strength here. It's 9 back in there, Tom, and he nearly was able to connect on the toss. Here's a flag that's got to be sorted out now as a little bit of an attempted trickery that may be early indications and ineligible maybe on a play like that. You get that from time to time.
Yeah, it was razzle-dazzle, throw it out on the edge, and we saw him unload one earlier in a ball game, and I mean, had a man wide open, threw it about 55 yards in here.
Ineligible receiver downfield against the offense. Penalty is declined. brings up second down.
You know, you're right, Tom. There's Logan showing his arm strength on more than one occasion tonight, and that, had it arrived just a split second sooner, may very well have been a completion. But he arrived just on time. A couple of Dorman Cavaliers there to bat it away.
Well, the way that play developed, kind of a slow developing play, you can't really blame the offensive lineman for being downfield.
Situation like that, a long time for them to hold their positioning. This goes for about 3. And as the clock winds towards 6:50 to go in the first half, this limited gain will make it 3rd down and 7.
Yeah, you get behind the change, and they've been pretty much in that position all night long. It makes it a little difficult. There's a team that averages about 99 a rush, 201 pass. So they've done much more in the passing game. 64% of their offense is via the pass. So far, they want to establish a run if they can.
Little fake of the toss. Whoa. Now trying to find some room. There will be none. Dorman's pursuit plenty for one of our stops of the game. Who was that in there, Tom?
Christian Waring again. You get a look at it, and or they flush him, but a great job. He turned him pretty much back inside, and a big guy. And kept backtracking, trying to get around him. That's a really good job. He got flushed from one side and then got hit on the other.
That's our App State transfer you talked about in Waring. That is a reminder that we will have our stop of the game prior to the end of tonight's contest. The school bus stop of the game. It's a law in every state. When you see the stop sign out, when you see the arm out, you have to come to a stop. And our stop of the game will be selected before the night is done. This is going to receive contact, goes up in the air, and then will finally be brought to a halt on this side of the 50. So Dorman's going to have pretty good field position on the Bowling Springs side of the 50-yard line. After that punt, we'll get the yardage on it for you in a moment. With 5:30 to play, Tom, 21-0 the advantage, and the Cavaliers will come out looking for more.
Yeah, they have established the run. If you just joined us, the first play of the game, offensive, little swing pass. It was taken 58 yards, and Tragan Mickler from Meek Slidell. That kind of set the tone, and then they've been able to pound that football in a number of different ways here so far.
Now Waring, after he forced the 12-yard loss, set the tone for this good field position. And now Dorman with first down yardage that's near another Greenville awning first down play.
Yeah, that's another good tackle by Tamaje Brown. Again, it was a missed tackle in the open field, and that hurt earlier in the ball game. But Brown, the junior, 19 tackles, 3 for loss coming in. He's had a good ball game so far as an outside linebacker.
Gathering the punt yardage for you. 18 the official yardage on the punt that time. That has set Dorman up nicely. Cavaliers deep, and that's in and out of the hands of the intended target. Now there is a flag where they collided out at about the 14. So Dorman, perhaps the beneficiary of the pass interference call on what was going to be 3rd down and 1. Let's see. In fact, multiple flags, Tom. There's one at the 14, one at the 24 that our officials are discussing. So much to sort out here.
Christian McMurray was in hot pursuit.
There are 2 fouls on the play, 1 on each team. Holding against the offense, pass interference against the defense. Those penalties offset. Replay, 2nd down.
So offsetting penalties, and here's a look at what happened. First the holding, and then of course the collision. Head down around the 10-yard line.
Yeah, hand fighting down that way, made contact and didn't get his head turned back around. And bottom line is going to do it all over again. And try to take a shot down that way. Slidell, 6'1", 190 senior, came in January last year as a transfer coming out of Asheville after 3 years there.
Their first charge, timeout of the half.
Timeout being taken. We'll take it as well. Under 5 to play in the first half. Dorman up 3 scores at home. 4:48 away from the Spartanburg Community College halftime show here at Dorman High School. Cavaliers leading it by 3 scores. You'll see highlights. We'll have stats, a whole lot more coming up for you at the half as part of the Spartanburg Community College halftime show. Tom, one of those numbers right now sits at 21 plays, 189 yards for Dorman. They have limited Bowling Springs to less than 20 yards of total offense tonight. Those numbers will climb ever so slightly for Dorman, but what does happen here on the second down play is a movement of the chains. That's a Greenville awning first down, and it keeps the march going for a Dorman team looking to build upon a 21-0 lead.
Well, Jake Morris told us today when we had a conversation with him, they want to play complementary football.
Has happened so far tonight. 14 points in the first, 7 points already here in the second, looking for a little more. And you saw what the defense can do on that last possession for Bowling Springs a moment ago. This Dorman defense getting off the field quickly and providing this solid field position. Boy, that's a good looking toss. Guy who scored the first touchdown of the night going to carry this past the sticks. That's another in the direction of Mickler. Remember, he had the 57-yard touchdown reception on the first play from scrimmage tonight for Dorman, setting the tone for this contest. And he has the Greenville awning first down here.
At 5 catches, 28 yards coming in, having a good night. I tell you, one of the keys too there was Corey Cole, one of their outstanding wide receivers. You got to be able to block, and he did so to give him a couple of more yards. It's tough sometimes out in open space not to hold when you're doing that.
9 first downs for Dorman in the contest. Cavaliers look to means for positive yardage on first down this time, and a flag comes in as he's brought to the turf.
When it hasn't, when there hadn't been anything up inside, been able to bounce it and get some good yardage as well. Brown was there. We'll see if something transpired there that's going to lead to.
There is no foul on the play. Second down.
Tell you what, Majay Brown, Jason, having a heck of a night.
Actually, first down.
Well, and again, asked to step up and fill the shoes with some missing pieces tonight that are not there.
It is second down.
They're going to get the down right, but the flag picked up and it'll be waved off. So second down and 10 will be the scenario at the 3:48 and clock back in motion mark. Meek Slidell, little toss. Here's Watkins Himes, and he's covered up by white jerseys. And I doubt they're going to wave this off as flags come in from everywhere.
Trying to get outside there. Marcus Means has been in on a number of plays and helped make that tackle there. We'll wait and see what the call is here. Talked to one of the officials before the game today. Came up and introduced himself.
We certainly appreciate everything they do for high school football.
Holding against the offense. It's a 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. We replay second down.
It is not possible nights like these, pursuits athletically for these young men, for these coaches, without the good work that the third team on the field does, and they are so often overlooked, Tom. But our appreciation for the officials, it's right there. High level of respect for what they do, the sacrifices they make, and everything that happens that is under their direction to make nights like tonight a reality. And South Carolina always letting us know when we reach state championship time in December that good officials hard to come by. So thanks to these who are just that. Out of bounds, and don't think there's going to be anything on the end of this. It looks like there's another time you tip your cap to these officials, as they're aware of the scenario, the situation, and do a very nice job.
Yeah, dancing along the sideline there. I mean, you got to make the play and make sure he goes out of bounds. We'll see here. Going to step out and a bump there.
See the notion of trying to let up there as he's working his way out, and fortunately that into the Cavaliers bench, and got plenty of help over there to work his way back to his feet as Slidell. What have you thought about the play of Slidell tonight?
He's done what they wanted him to do. He's able to get it out of the edge early. He's shown, I think, a propensity to throw the ball deep on occasion. And I hate to use the term game manager, but he's got a couple of good running backs, big offensive line. So far, so good.
May have to toss one here on third down and long. They need the 14 to move the chain. It's going to be well shy of that, but this gets a good portion of the yardage back by connecting with Mickler, and that may create a scenario where they can try to tack on 3 more.
Well, you know what, and if they do, they've got a guy by the name of Ranson Farr who kicked 40 and 46-yard field goals last week against Burns. We had Will Love last week, Spartanburg. There's some really good kickers in the area too.
This one's going to be inside of that. Farr going for a 38-yarder this time around. He will try it off the left hash again. Area blessed with tremendous kickers. He's one of them. And the distance, no question. It is also on target. Dorman with 3 on the board this time around, stretching the lead to 24-0 on a 38-yard field goal connected on by Farr. Sips is a presenting sponsor of Friday Night Rivals. They have over $5 million of furniture in stock and ready to be delivered to you. Visit their Arden and Waynesville showrooms or go online at CarolinaFurnitureConcepts.com. Well, the home fans have witnessed 5 drives, 5 touches of the football for Dorman, and 4 of those 5 drives have resulted in some type of points. That field goal stretching the lead to 24-0 Cavaliers.
A great field position. First 3 were 43, 47, 45. And Boiling Springs, they've had 5 possessions, 5 punts so far.
7 plays, 27 yards. The march, a 38-yard field goal, and it took 2 minutes. I should say 3 minutes, just over 3 minutes, 3:08 off the game clock. Bowling Springs looking for some type of lift heading into the intermission, and the return by Trayshawn Suber is up near the 20-yard line. 2:15 with which to work for Bowling Springs. What a lift it would be if the Bulldogs can put something together, because remember, visitors took the football first time, so Dorman's also going to have the football to open the third quarter.
Right, yep. Have not been able to get much going offensively. Got behind the sticks early on. And
last season, and the way it ended, a vision of how things can be under Coach Real moving forward. You know, you and I both, we were able to, as you said, spend time with both coaches this week. And in talking with him, he's been able to gather up the type of staff he wants. I mean, here's a guy well respected around the Carolinas who has been well traveled on so many fronts. Unfortunately for him, this is batted away. That's going to be incomplete. Dorman's defense has just been all over his playmakers tonight.
Yeah, we talked about so much on offense. They gave up the 42 against Greenwood and against Burns, but had shutout 7-3, and another outstanding play that time, getting in there to knock it away. Josiah Gales on the defensive line, 6'3", 190 senior. So you're able to funnel a lot of different guys in there. Felt like this year they had a chance, as these guys have been in the system. His 3rd year. I mean, it's a Dorman system, but Coach Morris putting his mark on it.
It certainly is, and they continue that pursuit on the Bowling Springs QB. Logan running for his life. We'll just toss this aside, and it's going to be 2:03 on the clock and 3rd down 10.
You know, and the other thing about it, even go back to Gaffney and Spartanburg last week when you visit with the head coaches, and when we talk about their staffs and who is on those, a lot of these guys played at respective schools and successfully and know what it takes and trying to bring that culture and so forth. And both these squads right here have a lot of guys on their staff that played for respective teams.
Well, you look at Coach Real, and again, he's got a strong resume. Got a young team here beginning to grow up, but a team that made its mark on the playoffs a season ago. And he's, again, the background true when you talk in terms of it, and we'll get into that some in the second half, as well as some of the new additions staff-wise for Dorman. Plenty to be proud of with the way these staffs have come together, and as these teams grow up, forces to be reckoned with. This one dropped as that went into no man's land out in the flats with nobody around it. And that was on a 3rd down and just trying to get rid of it.
Personal foul, roughing the passer against the defense. It's a 15-yard penalty, automatic. 1st down.
Yes.
That's going to extend the drive for Boiling Springs as the Bulldogs, the roughing the passer call here that will march it up a little closer to midfield.
Yes, coming off the edge there and got him a little bit late there. That's Davian Polo Anderson coming off that backside there, an extra stride or two, and got hit with a penalty.
Just under 2 minutes to play. Will that provide a bit of a spark for Logan and company? And he will be intercepted. That is picked near side, and carrying it back to just shy of the 20-yard line is Donovan Anderson, who was right where he needed to be. The senior outside linebacker with the takeaway for Dorman.
All set up by the pressure. I mean, he's rolling. Didn't have any time whatsoever to even throw that ball, just lets it fly. The pressure again coming from Gales and company there.
We were just talking about how he unfurled one on the other side a moment ago, Tom, just to get rid of it. It's not just the pressure on that play, it is the relentless pressure he has been under all night long. Gives it back to Dorman. Mentioned that 4 out of the 5 drives have ended in points. This is going to be Cole, and Corey Cole is down inside the 10, a drive that started just outside the First Bank red zone. And with that movement of the chains, the Greenville awning 1st down, it is a First Bank red zone opportunity for Dorman just that quickly. And 1:39, plenty of time to get the job done. Now, there is a flag down at the 19, so we'll see. But Dorman going right back to work here, Tom.
And I don't know if we'll get a look at that, but I mean, that was Patrick Mahomes type. Stepped down, sidearmed it, and got it out there on the edge. We'll see what transpires here, but that was well executed.
Well, keep in mind that comparison coming from a Kansas City
eligible
guy.
receiver downfield against the offense. It's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. 2nd down.
But you think about it, you never used to see any of that. Let's see if we get a look at that. Yeah, there you go. Little, you know, your shortstop, you're flipping 2nd for 1, right? Relay to 1st.
It's that time of year.
Hit 2.
They off in the playoffs, but the wild card round ended yesterday, and the divisional round starting tomorrow.
Correction. We're replaying 1st down. First down.
Replay first, as instead of it being a Greenville awning 1st down and a First Bank red zone opportunity, Dorman, by virtue of the penalty, is backed up to the 27-yard line. Still plenty of time to work with. 95 seconds for the Cavaliers. This is covered up nicely by Boiling Springs. So the Bulldogs limiting the yardage available here. Timeout being called for by Dorman.
You were talking about the, you see the snap there, but the interception, the pressure set that up. But last week, one of the big advantages was the 3 turnovers that Dorman got against Burns, and had that +3 in that category. Turned out to be a big part of that ball game.
Yeah, now becoming a storyline here after the interception that was secured on the near side by Donovan Anderson moments ago. Dorman taking its 2nd time out here, Tom. Every indication the Cavaliers plan on coming away with some points ahead of the Spartanburg Community College halftime report. We are just a couple of minutes away from the Spartanburg Community College halftime report. Stick around, you'll learn more about both Dorman and Boiling Springs. Meet some student athletes on both sides. We'll have highlights, stats. Nelson will be visiting with some of the key personalities. All that coming your way as part of the Spartanburg Community College halftime report. Again, one more timeout in Dorman's back pocket as 2nd down is coming from the 27-yard line.
We gave you some of the numbers on Ransom Farr. He hit that 38-yarder and hit 46 and 40 against Burns. Last year against Gaffney, hit 3 in a 9-7 win.
Probably wondering. Get back to that. Here's a toss toward the end zone, and it's batted away. How about this defense? Nice job turning around, finding the football and swatting it aside. Nicely covered there defensively.
Yeah, Karan Nesbitt, nice job. I thought when he let it go, he was going to rerun right under it and make that catch. But, boy, ran stride for stride, then look, turn, find it. That's excellent. Outstanding, because in many cases, that's going to be a touchdown. Deshaun Watkins-Himes out there, and he's a guy that they really like at 6'3", 170, a junior wide receiver.
Just going to say a moment ago, you might be wondering about Dorman and penalties. 6 times penalized for half a football field, 55 yards to this point in the first half, if you're keeping track of those numbers.
I think there were 12 last week against Burns.
Third down play means hits the seam to the 21. That's as far as he'll be able to find space, and it's going to be 4th down with right at a minute to play on the game clock as Dorman weighs its options. Remember, kicked the field goal from near this location a moment ago, and 1 timeout still there for Dorman. However, the Cavaliers choose to utilize it.
Yeah, just letting it go. You can see it on the screen, 17 on the play clock. See what they decide to do here late in the first half in an impressive performance.
Farr made a 38-yarder to cap the most recent drive, so this would be almost the identical spot, and on the left hash, almost the identical spot from where he connected on the recent Dorman field goal.
Dorman, that's their final timeout of the half.
And there's a timeout, as you said, Tom. Run it all the way down. 29 is where they could take it, and you would think that they'll be trying to run the total on the scoreboard to 27 by sending the kicker out a second time around. How about this first half for the Dorman Cavaliers?
They've done what they've needed to do, and you know, Boiling Springs goes, they've got a first down, and you'll have the numbers over there. They have many here in the first half.
Boiling Springs limited to this juncture to 18 yards. And they've moved the chains 3 times, but that was early in this contest.
They got 1 to begin and 3 and out, 3 and out. Union had all punts except the interception there, and after that swing pass, broken tackle, 57-yard score, and then turned around and ran the ball and let the offensive line set some things up. Your running backs set some things up off the cuts and so forth. Impressive first half, and defensively, all kind of pressure. This was a team last week, Bowling Springs, to put 40+ on the board in their win.
Here comes Farr. He's worked his way out there to the left hash. He's ready for what's going to this time around be a 37-yard try. Still left hash, connected on 38 a moment ago. He's been true on all 3 extra points, and now a pair of field goals, as that is on target to run the score to 27-0 Cavaliers with just under a half minute, 24 seconds to be specific, remaining in the second quarter of action. And Tom, I go back to your point a moment ago. Farr has been impressive tonight, but the kickers around this portion of the state as a unit going to make the run toward a region championship as well as the playoffs very interesting, because coaches at the high school level don't always have the option to turn to the kicking game the way young men like Farr provide you in moments like
well,
these.
the other thing about, too, at kickoffs, he's 15, beginning play tonight, 15 kickoffs, 7 of them touchbacks. And we know what Will Love has been able to do for the most part almost every single time, and others around the area. So field position becomes a very big, and particularly, and you do so many state championship games in North Carolina, South Carolina, that's a huge deal when you get to that competitive, when you get down to the final games when it may be a 1-score ball.
Comes right down to a field goal so often. Ransom Farr, true in that department. Again, 3 extra points on which he has been perfect, and now a pair of field goals to cap Dorman's 2 most recent drives. And Cavaliers posting 27 in the opening half. Dorman's going to get the football back in the 3rd. Keep that in mind after Boiling Springs had the first crack at it here in the opening half of action. It's going to go into the end zone on your cue, Tom Van Hoy, and out it comes for the touchback. Well, let's talk adjustments for Bowling Springs in the second half. The most obvious one seems to be finding a way to provide some time for something to transpire for Logan.
Well, offensively, you've got to get something going. And even when he's tried to throw the football, he's been under pressure tonight and having to throw it in downs and distance you probably don't want to have to do. And the other thing is, and I think it's worth repeating, that they've got a couple of offensive linemen out. They haven't been able to run the football much at all. Now, not to take nothing away from Dorman up front and what they've been able to accomplish as well, but it's been tough offensively for sure.
But some key pieces are missing for Bowling Springs, both on that offensive line, certainly on the defensive side of the football also. Worth keeping in mind.
And they had 27 seniors last year. And
that's the point we were making early.
Made a nice run and had to.
You don't have to tell Dorman about it.
Yes, that final first-round playoff game.
Cavaliers are very aware
that one, yep,
of the way things went against this Bowling Springs team a season ago. But again, as you said, a young squad that has some growing up to do, but working their way to the locker room at the end of this first half. It will be the Dorman Cavaliers out front. 27-0 the score. We'll get a chance to hear from Coach Morris as Nelson finds his way to him. But first, your thoughts on that first half, Tom.
Just solid all the way around. I mean, Bowling Springs wins the toss. They want the ball. They picked up a first down, moved it a little bit, punted it, and then you come out and we talked about 74% of the plays this year have been on the ground, and you want to stop the run. What do? You swing it out to the edge. Broken tackle. You need to make those tackles in space if you can. And then took it the distance. That kind of set the tone, and then the defense 3 and out, and got good field position and scored.
Add it all up, 27 points on the board for the home team. Here are the thoughts of the Dorman Cavaliers head coach.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Jason. This is the Coach's Corner, brought to you by Carolina Furniture Concepts. Well, Coach, from y'all's opening drive, y'all been in firm control of this football game on all sides of the ball. 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals, and that beautiful interception on the defense. What are your thoughts on the first half of the game, Coach?
I think we're playing really hard. We got to eliminate the self-inflicted wounds here in the second half, and we got to keep our foot on the gas.
Good luck in the second half, Coach. Yes, sir. Tom, Jason, back to you guys.
Maybe a young head coach, but he's still a head coach. With everything going on, he still sees those few areas he wants his team to clean up. That's what it's about, the progression from one week to the next in the pursuit of a title. Dorman leading big at the intermission.
What just happened? Flipped out of his hands, and it's a touchdown for Jaden Pierce. Oh my goodness.
The best Thursday night lights and Friday night rivals highlights from across the country.
And he just, are you kidding? What just happened? Flipped out of his hands, and it's a touchdown for Jaden Pierce. Oh my goodness.
Here's Knuckles. He's going to take his shot for the end zone. Running under it, making the catch. What a catch by Cade Mitchell.
Holy cow for the Food City touchdown.
Well, stop of the game, Jeremiah Cruz. He had a few of those tonight. Jeremiah laying the wood.
250 yards passing. Now he wants to take a shot. Looking to hang this one up for Gardner, and he drops it to him, and Gardner makes a move at the 35. Gardner's still on his feet. Gardner's got 3 touchdowns tonight. Seeger's got 5. Polka fires. Ball is intercepted by the Rams. It's Mason Wydra with the pick. And here comes the Rams the other way on the turn. Here he goes, right side of the field. Wydra with some blockers. Wydra on the return of the interception. He's all the way down to the 10, the 5. Wydra returns it for the score. Mason Wydra. Receiver in motion. He will roll right. Under pressure. Still on his feet. Trying to find somebody downfield. He's in trouble. He'll throw it to the back of the end zone. A receiver's wide open. Touchdown, McQueen.
Bojangles Friday Night Rivals Halftime, brought to you by Asheville Chevrolet.
Well, we welcome you back to Dorman for the Spartanburg Community College halftime report. 27, what a number, on the board for the Cavaliers. You know, Tom, you're going to see a whole lot of that trademark Dorman blue as we walk through the highlights package from the first half. That's because almost every time the Cavaliers touched the football, something came of it from a point twice.
Offensive, defensive, and special teams, and it started early. They had one of the rare first downs in this game, and you can see the hard hit there, the pressure put on the quarterback as well.
Stayed that way for Logan and company the majority of that first half, under heavy pressure throughout. This was Dorman's first play from scrimmage. The initial play went 57 yards for a Dragan Mickler touchdown. It was a tone of things to come. Nick Means had a touchdown run. In fact, he had 2 touchdown runs in the first half.
Yeah, 13-yarder there, and we talked about 13 cuts, and that was indicative of some of the running plays we saw. The ability to make that cut, got outside, wasn't there. He'll step in for a second TD to the first half.
That second TD, the final touchdown for Dorman, but it was followed by 2 field goals. Almost identical spot. Left hash, 38 yards, followed by 37 yards. And they go far together, this Dorman team, offense, defense, and special teams. It is far handling the special teams responsibilities. Those numbers speak for themselves, Tom. You know, the overall total yards for the Cavaliers at last check up over 200 in that first half. And you see Boiling Springs kept quiet to the tune of 20 total yards. You know, this team, again, young squad without some of their key pieces offensively. You have to keep that in mind. On top of that, the relentless pressure from Dorman, it bears itself out in these numbers.
Yeah, sometimes the stats are not indicative of the score of the game, but they are in this particular point. And because Moore's talking with Nelson there too, one thing they need to do clean up. They had 6 penalties in the first half, but other than that, it was a very solid performance.
The scores coming in. Chesney leading Blacksburg. You look at that Gaffney score where we're headed next week, a little tight. So keep an eye on Burns and Spartanburg and all those who are a part of this Region 2 showdown that is coming across the course of this regular season and eventually into the playoffs. We're happy to be here tonight at Dorman. Much more to come for you on the Spartanburg Community College halftime show after the break. Cavaliers working their way back down the hill with 27 on the board as we welcome you back to the Spartanburg Community College halftime report. Tom, 224, we showed you 134 on the ground, 89 through the air for this Dorman team that utilized almost all possessions. They will get the football first here in the third quarter as well. And you know, you look at some of the headliners. Means had 11 touches for 74 yards. Isaac Tate carried it 5 times for 55 yards. Mickler with the 81 yards total on 3 catches, including the touchdown of 57 to get things started. And Seidel, to this point, 5 of 6, 89 yards in the 1 touchdown toss. So Seidel, you said it, game manager, what you needed him to be. And on the other side, they've been able to control and put pressure on Logan. So far, so good for Dorman on the Spartanburg Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram keys to the game.
Well, you just gave the numbers and stopped the run. They have not been able to do that here in the first half. And, you know, they still want to play with the energy, effort, and discipline. And, you know what? You got a chance here to come out in the second half and start all over. Dorman, they did a great job of controlling Emery Logan. He's the transfer that came in, their quarterback and dual threat guy. And he really didn't get much going. Last week, 341 yards, 4 touchdowns against Eastside. And then they also wanted to play complementary football. And I think they were able to do that in all aspects, offense, defense, and then a couple of field goals. Special teams, they had the 6 penalties. They will like that, but I think overall just a solid performance first half by Dorman to lead 27-0.
Yeah, 2 field goals of 38 and 37 yards respectively after the 2 rushing touchdowns from Means and the 1 touchdown toss in the direction of Mickler. You said it, balanced. And when it comes to Logan, to your point, 4 touchdowns last week thrown. Bowling Springs trying to get something going offensively when they get the football back here. We are at Dorman High tonight, and that trademark logo lighting up the sky at one of the fine facilities and campuses in all of the Palmetto State as we work our way toward the third quarter. 27-0 home team leading it, and we are just about to hear from the Bowling Springs side of things on the Carolina Furniture Concepts Coaches Corner. Always a pleasure to hear from both coaches, get their thoughts going in and coming out of the locker room. And speaking of, let's go down to Nelson.
Thanks, Jason. This is the Coach's Corner, brought to you by Carolina Furniture Concepts. Well, Coach, what was the message to the boys in the locker room just now? What can we expect from you and your team in the second half of the game?
Effort, compete. That's what we got to do. We didn't win. A lot of missed tackles. They just took it to us in the first half, just being blatantly honest. We got a lot we got to do in the second half. We got to have great effort. We got to compete. We got to finish plays. That's where we're at right now.
All right, good luck in the second half, Coach. Yes, sir. Tom, Jason, back to you guys.
He said it. Could not have underscored it any better than the way he communicated it there, Tom. And, you know, these, again, teachable moments, because each one of these region games critical, building toward the next. And, you know, going to be interesting to see how his team responds in the second half and what Dorman does to build on what was a stellar first half of action as we're moments away from the third quarter.
Yeah, Dorman and Gaffney come in at 2-0 in 5A Region 2. Burns, Riverside, Boiling Springs, Spartanburg 1-1. Wade Hampton 0-2 and Eastside 0-2. Right now at half, Gaffney leads at Eastside 26-16. Burns a big lead at Riverside 35-7. And then Spartanburg at Wade Hampton. The last score we had was 14-0 in the first quarter as they played at Wade. Next week it's Burns at Gaffney. And that's the game that we'll have here. Dorman plays at Spartanburg. So there are some big ones. Wade Hampton at Boiling Springs, and over in Granville County, Eastside plays at Riverside.
How important is the renewal of that Dorman-Spartanburg rivalry looking now, as well as the Burns-Gaffney rivalry, which, as you said, we will have here on our air. My 40. Hope you make plans to join us on Bojangles Friday Night Rivals next week from the reservation, as it's affectionately known, in Cherokee County, the home of the Gaffney Indians, as they welcome in the Burns Rebels. That is another of those games that has given us many classics over the years, much like Dorman and Spartanburg have when we've had that Spartanburg County rivalry on our air from time to time. Well, this one went Bowling Springs way in the playoffs last year, as they made a bit of a statement in that contest, but after graduating a number of those key performers, been all Dorman so far tonight. Cavaliers will try to keep it clicking as they'll take over on the 29-yard line following the return from Jabez Thomas. Thomas done a little bit of everything a week ago. You talked about it. He had the 4 INTs. He had the 34-yard touchdown. So many pieces of the puzzle in which he was heavily involved for the Cavaliers. Quite a weapon he proves to be in all phases and facets. Cavaliers with Meek Slidell. Gave you his numbers a little bit earlier. If you missed it, 89 yards, excuse me, and a touchdown as he 5 of 6 through the air in this contest. 83% in the completion department so far. One of the best things he's done tonight. Turn give to this guy. A couple of touchdowns for Means already. And the Cavaliers going to give it right back to the more prolific of the rushers tonight. He's good for 9 on the first play from scrimmage. First play from scrimmage in the first half for Dorman, you'll remember, went 57 yards and a touchdown on a toss to Mickler. This one might not have that kind of punch, but it is good for 9 and a second down and short.
Well, scored on every possession but one of the first half. A couple field goals there late to widen it out a bit.
Including that interception setting up that final field goal to push it to 27-0. Means going to reverse fields. In fact, he's going to go all the way to the far side and will, it appeared, be gathered up from behind it around the 48. But he's instead going to be in Boiling Springs territory at the 40-yard line of the Bulldogs before he's finally brought down.
Watch the block by Slidell Meek here. I mean, it's going to open that opportunity for him as he is able to cut up inside, but it was Meek Slidell, 6'1", 190. Seen to the quarterback, he just kind of got in the way, and I'll tell you what, he got in the way of one of the young men that had an outstanding first half, and that was Tamaje Brown, and did a nice chip block there by the quarterback. Slidell.
After a 9-yard run to get things started, this one of the longer variety, and they will opt to, why not, keep it right where it had been in the hands of the back. Though Boiling Springs is able to turn this one aside and bring up second down and 10.
Yeah, again, there's not much there, but just the fact that it wasn't there gave himself an opportunity, bounced the other way, and I tell you, you've got to be able to make a solid tackle on these running backs.
So after a 22-yard run by Means following his initial 9-yard run, that of course was for a First Franklin Financial first down, that 22-yarder, they hand the football to Nash, who is stopped at the line of scrimmage. It'll be Slidell this time. Slides this way, and he's going to loft one toward the end zone, trying to make an adjustment in order to bring himself near the football. Was Watkins Hines. It was not to be. Incomplete.
Ron Nesbitt out there again, who's been involved in a couple of long downfield passes. That left corner, the senior, launched that one long down the sideline. Contact there, they let it go.
Going to be third down and 10 from the 40-yard line. Freshly underway in the second half of action. First drive of the third quarter for Dorman. Cavaliers with just working your way to us. 57-yard touchdown toss to Mickler on the first play from scrimmage in the first half. A couple of Nick Means touchdown runs of the 13-yard variety, his longest. And then 2 field goals from far, and that's how 27 points were secured by the Cavs.
There is no foul for delay of game.
Timeout
Prior
being called.
That, we had a timeout. Dorman, it's their first charge timeout of the half.
As you heard, to avoid the potential delay penalty. We'll take the timeout as well. Much more to come on Bojangles Friday Night Rivals when you return to Dorman High. Don't let game night dinner get you stressed. Stop by Ingles for great choices from the Ingles Deli, rotisserie chicken, freshly made salads, and a delicious hot bar and sub bar. Dinner and a snap, then it's off to the game. Ingles, low prices, love the savings. Kind of separation rarely seen in these Spartanburg County rivalries here between Bowling Springs and Dorman tonight. Cavaliers with all 27 points that are on the board in search of more, but a key third down on their opening drive of the third quarter. And Slidell looking for some room, will find none initially. Bowling Springs able to bring up 4th down and around 8 after closing up the seam on this near side.
Yeah, good job downfield, wasn't there, trying to make something out of it, forcing back inside, and there came that freshman Dennis Glenn Jr. Nice job to make a tackle there.
Yeah, Dennis Glenn Jr., one of the guys impressed us when we were just kind of eyeballing some of the players before the game. He certainly passes the eye test when he leads the Bulldogs off the bus. Guy known for the couple of field goals he has kicked tonight. Has a pretty good roll on this punt. That's going to be all the way down to the 6-yard line. Dorman trying to keep willing it a little deeper into Bowling Springs territory. Everything off his foot tonight. What you would expect it to be is Dorman is going to pin Bowling Springs deep. They're going to actually mark this at the 6-yard line. And that brings us to our Smile Cam tonight. The Smile Cam brought to you by Nth Degree Orthodontics. And there's a look at some of the youngest fans enjoying this memorable night at Dorman here in Spartanburg County. We thank our friends at Nth Degree Orthodontics for sponsoring tonight's Smile Cam. Well, first look at Logan and company in this third quarter. He's going to turn handoff, and that's out across the 10 to the 11. Remember, started with a handful of touches for Tobler at the beginning of this contest, and this is going to be Johnson coming out of there. See, they got Johnson. We've called Crow's name a couple of times. He's in the game as well. Jaden Great, who another of the weapons that Bowling Springs has to work with, and all those guys up front, no doubt being given the challenge at the half. Again, short-handed, some of the key pieces of that offensive line not available tonight. But that's the group that will try to make some space, and they will on this play. Has a positive gain on 2nd down, brings up 3rd and a long 3.
Yeah, just a tough night offensively. Punt, interception. Time ran out in the first half. You get another look at it, bottled it up inside there. Like just 20 total yards in the first half.
But haven't you heard? It's a whole new half now.
Yes.
Third quarter is underway, and Bowling Springs is trying to make something out of this 3rd down opportunity. Going to be 3rd down 3. They need the 16. Do the Bulldogs to move the chains. There's the space that offensive line had been looking to make. Just what the doctor ordered for Bowling Springs. And Izell Johnson takes advantage with a First Franklin Financial 1st down run.
Man, shot it up inside. Good interior blocking and got it to the secondary. And eventually the left corner, Thomas, will make the tackle there. But hey, stop on defense. I know it was a good punt, but an opportunity, got a 1st down. So
now a little space to work with.
Coach talking about discipline. Let's play hard. Let's play with energy. Come out 2nd half.
And you give kudos to those guys on the offensive line. They have answered the bell thus far. They make a little more space here, and every play has seen positive gains for Bowling Springs in this third quarter. You know, you talk about Coach, and we were mentioning Coach real early, and how solid his background is and the team he's put together, and certainly a guy who's well respected and well traveled in the game of football.
Yeah, McDowell High School, North Carolina, from Marion, and 7 years there. He was on staff for a while. Baseball coach as well at times throughout his career, and was an assistant at North Myrtle Beach, O-line coach and offensive coordinator. Then he got his opportunity as a head coach and told us about that learning curve that you have when you move one seat over. It's a little bit different, and you know what? Had 5 successful years there, and then he's in his 4th year here at Bowling Springs, coming off last year's a team that had a really solid performance. The 27 seniors beat this Dorman team in the playoff, ran into Dutch Fork. A couple tough losses to Burns and Gabney last year, but trying to set the tone, and you get the community involvement and also the culture there at Boiling Springs.
Certainly something to build on in one of the fastest growing areas in the state of South Carolina, certainly in Spartanburg County. And how about this? Rushing toward the first down marker is Logan, but Dorman comes up with the football and will carry it back to the 11. Cavaliers celebrating as if it's a takeaway, and we're waiting on official word as our crew is gathering up at around the 34 to make the determination. This is either going to be a first down or very close to it for Boiling Springs at around the 34. Our Dorman football in the depths of Bulldogs category. Tom, territory, I should say. Tom, this is a major call, and it's going to go Dorman's way. They're saying Cavaliers football after this.
Watch the hit. Contavian Polo Anderson, the Clemson commit, makes the smash there. Looked like he was down. And then picked up, and the young man that had that interception earlier, Donovan Anderson, picks it up. That might have been a...
Well, that's going to be one of those, a candidate for our stop of the game. You know, stop means stop. And in the fourth quarter of tonight's game, we'll be highlighting the school bus stop of the game. It's a law in every state requiring drivers to always stop for a school bus when the stop arm is out and the red lights are flashing. That's a candidate for our school bus stop of the game. Dorman with it after the takeaway. And a first bank red zone chance for the Cavaliers, but just when it looked like something positive was brewing for Boiling Springs, the Cavaliers take it right back, Tom.
Yeah, they had a little bit of momentum going, had a pretty good gain there, and the hit apparently jarred the ball loose. They said he was not down at that time, and Anderson, who had the interception late in the first half, led to a field goal before intermission there, has been in on a couple of plays. We talked about the 3 turnovers last week against Burns, which were instrumental, and that's one of the areas that they want to be proficient in as well.
I mean, just see if that ball was, you know, like you said, may have been moving right before he went to the turf, but it was close to a Boiling Springs first down, all of a sudden flips, and that's kind of the way the entire night has gone for the Bulldogs. A little change of personnel up on that offensive line for Dorman. Still 5 and change remaining in the third quarter. Dorman, remember, looking for its first touchdown in a while, as the last 2 scoring possessions have been field goals by far. And it's incomplete. Adjustment made by the intended target. They tried one more time for Watkins Himes, but it's going to fall to the turf, and another play coming for Dorman.
Christian McMurray, again, watch this play. I think he falls down, then he gets back up and is able to get a hand on it there.
Sideline warning against Boiling Springs.
That's a good play. Got up inside there. They like that matchup out on the edge with a wide receiver there and a big guy at 6 feet 170 junior. 4 catches, 54 yards against Burns.
May have heard that sideline warning.
Third down.
Assess Boiling Springs ahead of the third down play now. Going to be 3rd and goal from the 5 as the first bank red zone chance continues for Dorman. Remember, Dorman's last touchdown came with 7:17 to go on the 12-yard rush from Means, and flags fly here before the third down play.
Prior to the snap, false start against the offense. It's a 5-yard penalty.
This will back Dorman up to the 10-yard line. Going to be 3rd and goal from the 10. But Tom, on the opening play from scrimmage for Dorman, with 8:19 to go in the opening period, the 57-yard reception. They scored with 4 minutes to go in the first, 7:17 to go in the second. Those are the timings of the 3 touchdowns. Of course, the field goal with 2:22 to play and 25 seconds to play, capping the scoring in that first half. But all that to say, been a while since Dorman has been in the end zone, despite the advantage the Cavaliers have built on the scoreboard. Will that change here? Means he's a guy who's been there more than anyone else, and he's in pursuit of what would be his 3rd score of the night. He's down to the 6, and it'll be 4th down there. Well, after the 38 and 37-yard field goals, this very much in the range of the kicker, but will Dorman search for more here? They're actually going to send the kicking unit out, as you might expect.
I tell you, really good pursuit there by Tamaje Brown. in addition to Christian McMurray, and also finishing it off with T.J. Collins. But boy, the footwork there, I know they didn't gain all that much, but it was pretty impressive.
Another penalty that in some ways derailed the touchdown scoring opportunity for Dorman here. That's been, as you said, the one area tonight that Coach told us going to break he and his staff were focused on. This one, interestingly enough, no good from the right hash this time, and it is just wide of the bar. So for all the long field goals that have been made tonight, a little bit of trouble on this one, and sometimes the angle can be the challenge, Tom, and that just didn't quite sneak inside the upright.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's a good job by Boiling Springs. They had a little bit going offensively and then turned the ball over. Great field position for Dorman, who had a great first half in terms of running the football, and particularly when you get it where they did. But the penalty was a big one there that changed the dynamics of that drive. And good job by Bowling Springs to keep them out and get the ball back here.
Well, you said it. Bulldogs take over. 20-yard line where this drive will start. Across the 20, 25. You know, this continues that trend, Tom, of obviously you had the play that resulted in the turnover, but each play from scrimmage in this second half, Bowling Springs on that offensive line has made some room, turned it into a positive game.
Yeah, first half, one of the problems was getting behind the chains and not getting much early on, and maybe being forced to do some things you didn't really want to do at certain points in time. And, you know, give the Dorman defense credit for putting the pressure on the quarterback as well as Emery Logan came in off a fine performance his last time out against Eastside.
Well, one thing you want to see is how does the team respond to the coach's challenge at the intermission. So far, so good for Bowling Springs. Here's a deep shot, but that's well out of reach as it's out of bounds up the Dorman sideline.
One-on-one coverage that time. And stride for stride, Aiden Brown down there. Well, that ball was way overthrown and out of bounds, but those two had one-on-one coverage that way. We've seen a lot of that tonight. Some interesting matchups in the secondary. They tried to go deep on a number of occasions.
Who knows what they're going to see in their high school careers here at Dorman, as some of the students in that student section just down to our left to look on ahead of the third down play. This is a team that fan base has high expectations for. I mentioned it talking with some of the Dorman folks prior to the game, as we had the privilege to do with Dorman fans, Bowling Springs fans, players and coaches on all sides. As they come away with the stop right here to the Cavaliers. This is a season marked by those high expectations. I told you, Chris Snyder, one of the fans we visited with prior, sits with Trey Rogers' dad, reminded us that championship 25 years ago. Trey Rogers was the quarterback on, and he said, you know, we're believing this can be that kind of year. Just the loss to Greenwood. He was looking for all the parallels, Tom, yes. But he looks at this team and sees what we have tonight, as so many of these fans do, and that is it's a complete team in all facets for the most part.
They have so far tonight. You saw the closing speed there of Anderson, the Clemson commit, and did a really good job there to force a fourth down.
The defense doing their part, and here's the return game. A couple of yards after the catch for Jabez Thomas. Dorman will take over on the Bowling Springs side of the 50 up 27-0 in a moment.
Tonight's Drive Safe Game Day message is brought to you by George Sink Injury Lawyers, reminding all student drivers when the game ends, make the right call behind the wheel. If you're driving home tonight, don't speed, don't text, and always buckle up. Winning on the field is great, but getting home safe is the real victory. George Sink Injury Lawyers, standing up for safe drivers and proud to support high school football.
2:29 to go, third quarter. Dorman building a 14-point advantage in the first period. Posted 13 in the second. Looking for their first of this third quarter. Remember, had the last touch of the football in which they had a first and goal scenario, but the missed field goal. One of the few times tonight that the Cavaliers have not come away with points. Looking for a new taste here as Slidell swings this inside Bowling Springs territory all the way down to the 25-yard line it goes as he finds his target for a first Franklin Financial first down. And Tom, so many different individuals. You look at Corey Cole right there that Dorman has been able to utilize along the way.
Well, and set up the ability to run the football, and you go play action there and roll out. You got one-on-one coverage. Means has been in a lot of tackles tonight, able to bring him down, but not before he had a good game.
Talk a lot about the head coaches, but one of the things that the head coach of the Cavaliers wanted to talk to us about were the coordinators. And how pleased he was to have those coordinators on his side, on his team. And, you know, you talk in terms of some of the new faces that have been brought in and some of the traditional faces that have been here. The two coordinators he can rely heavily upon, big difference makers.
Yeah, Jason Farmer in his first year as the offensive coordinator, 11 years as a head coach. Gosh, what tremendous experience there. A couple of years at Woodmont, 9 years Landrum, and also you go back, he was an offensive coordinator for 1 year under Doc Davis at Spartanburg.
Yeah, those
understands.
Those pieces of the pedigree tells you just why you're seeing some of the positive things you're seeing from Dorman here.
Prior to the snap,
so we get the call, and this is going to back the Cavaliers up on a false start.
The 5-yard penalty, it's still second down.
You flip it over on the other side. The reason they're playing complementary football, one of the familiar faces in high school football in South Carolina as well for a long time.
Wade Cooper, 16 years, and tremendous track record. You look at the sideline there of the Dorman Cavaliers, and talked about coaches move in and out. We talked with Mark Hodge, Spartanburg, and also with Donnie Littlejohn taking over Gaffney. But you know, you get good people that want to work in successful programs.
And those coordinators make a major difference. You get plenty of praise from the head coaches in their direction. Here's a flag in this direction as it comes down at around the 24-yard line following what looked like it was going to be a positive gain for the Cavaliers.
Holding against the offense.
It's going to back Dorman up again.
It's a 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul.
Well, we shouldn't let the night pass us by either without talking about, as you get one more look at the holding penalty on the run, the direct connection that the head man for the Dorman Cavaliers has to the history of this program.
Yeah, played Dave Gutschall and played on that championship team in 2009. They'd lost to Burns regular season and eventually would come back and win the championship 28-17. And he was talking about Adam Humphreys and Sharon Peak and some of the others. So he understands what the culture is here, what the expectations are, and he is attempting to get them back to that on a yearly basis.
You're talking about other members of the staff when you invoke Sharon Peak's name, among others. Here's a toss for positive yards, going to bring up third down and about 8. Yeah, you look across the roster and you see, you know, Bryson Woodruff, Sharon Peak, guys who've made their mark on the upstate and high school football along the way. The list goes on. And it's a luxury not only to have those experienced coordinators and former head coaches, but also that talent funneled back into the program in these familiar colors where they've had tremendous success along the way. That really the mark of a winner, regardless of where we land in Region 2 and beyond around the Carolinas, and all those pieces in place here at Dorman. Evidenced by a 27-0 lead his team has at the end of the third quarter. We'll have the fourth period on Bojangles Friday Night Rivals when you return to Spartanburg County.
Welcome back to Friday Night Rivals. Well, folks, I'm standing here on the sidelines with some of the gorgeous cheerleaders here at Dorman High School. Ladies, on behalf of My 40 and Friday Night Rivals, thank y'all so much for inviting us here tonight. We proudly present y'all a check for $500.
Well, we thank all the folks here at Dorman and surrounding this program, and the athletic administration, from Superintendent Kaiser to the Principal Bryant, of course, John, our friend, the AD, all those who make it possible to put nights like this on for you at home, those of you, the fans, who get to enjoy live productions of high school football. And, you know, we thank both ADs and their departments and their staffs. And, you know, it takes a lot of people, Tom, not only our crew, who we say a big thank you to each week in the truck, who are making the live pictures possible on cameras and punching buttons and producing and directing and replays that you can see, but you know, just to put on a football Friday night, what these athletic directors do, and everybody in their realm of influence, their staffs, it's amazing, and it is much appreciated on our part, and I know those of you watching at home appreciate it as well. Here is a 44-yard try for the Dorman kicker, and that's a low trajectory, maybe a piece of it for Bowling Springs that time, and it is no good. So 2 for 4 tonight in the field goal department, made the 38 and the 37-yarder, had the short one on which the angle was tough, and now the longer field goal that may have been deflected certainly fell short of the crossbar. And Tom, did you get one more look at this? And yeah, absolutely. Bowling Springs, plenty of credit getting in there and disrupting it.
It's our man Glenn again.
It is.
Dennis Glenn Jr.
Well, the
well done.
Size that we were saying earlier and the effort with which he plays, once again on display for you on that kick. And, you know, you begin to look at this, Tom, and Bowling Springs holding Dorman off the scoreboard with the missed field goals. That one blocked through the third quarter and now into the fourth period here. Just a matter of trying to get something jump-started offensively to build on for the Bulldogs now. And, you know, line creating some space for the backs on the last couple of touches. So we'll see if the Bulldogs can find a way toward pay dirt this time around. That was Trayshawn Suber, where we told you he came over Broome High School and is certainly a key contributor for Bowling Springs.
Boy, had that read well, Jason. That's Jameer Gaston, senior, 6 feet 165, and nowhere to go. Great closing speed there.
Bowling Springs looking for a spark. They go to work, toss near side, quick to the football, Dorman, and he'll swallow up the ball carrier at the 10-yard line. That's all Johnson will be allowed here as Isaiah Johnson is drugged down.
Boy, and watch this play again. It's again Polo Anderson making that play. He's had about 2 or 3, and our conversations with Jake Morris talking about him. He's a young man that's headed to Clemson, 3-year starter, Shrine Bowl guy. And he said he's one of the better players that he's been around in a long time.
Well, and we said they're looking for a spark. What will Nine and company be able to do here? Josh Collin there, waiting on the snap. He's been given a chance to try to ignite something on this Bowling Springs offense. And a turnaround just in time to try for it, but the toss will go incomplete as that hits the turf before it is grabbed by Dion Suber. And that drive turned aside as the kicking unit will come on for Bowling Springs.
Yeah, Call got an opportunity to play pretty much early on in this season. 43 out of 73, 529, 5 TDs, 3 interceptions coming in, and he'll get a chance to play here in the fourth quarter of play.
Call, of course, in support initially of Logan, who was the starter. And Bowling Springs tonight tells you all you need to know, Tom. They're still sitting at just 23 yards of total offense in this contest, with, you know, some back and forth in that third quarter of positive gains marked by a couple of tough losses. in the rushing game. Well, it'll be up near midfield where Cavaliers will take over, and we give you our Henson's Mulch and More dirty jersey of the game. When you score more touchdowns than anybody else and you get over 100 yards on the night, eclipse that century mark, the dirty jersey's yours. Nick Means is our dirty jersey of the game, brought to you by Henson's Mulch and More. If you want his specific numbers, that 100+ yard rushing night, coming on 15 touches for Means, Tom.
Yeah, he's got a couple TDs, 13 on the year, and he demonstrated his ability inside and also outside, and the footwork was outstanding too.
Well, so far has been, and you know, it'd be interesting to see what will add to it as he gets the handoff here again, can continue to add to those numbers. You know, 2 touchdown runs, almost identical. In fact, 13 yards, and as I look back at the statistics now, 13 yards on both carries for touchdowns. You know, we had it at 12 at one point on one of those carries, just shy of what the original was. So a couple of touchdown totes for him tonight. The 2 rushing touchdowns to go along with the lone receiving touchdown, which interestingly enough came on the first play from scrimmage for Dorman. And all that scoring and so much of the way the game has trended has to do with that. But all that scoring in the first half.
Against the defense, that's a 5-yard penalty. It's still second down.
Tom, I know you've been keeping an eye on 5A football and South Carolina and how things line up. We talked about the region just a bit ago. Region 2, certainly one of the regions everybody keeps an eye on in this state. But when you're looking at how teams are lined up overall, as there's a flag to sort out here, how's it looking?
Well, Irmo is the #1 team in 5A. They won at Burns earlier this year in their new stadium, and the atmosphere that night, that's pretty awesome. Northwestern, of course, who won the 5A Division II championship last year, is #2. Dutch Fork actually lost a game to Oceanside Collegiate, and Somerville is 4, James Island 5s, and then you get into the upstate here with Dorman here at 6. They lost to Greenwood 42-41 in overtime, and Greenwood had lost to TL Hanna 23-21. Greenwood is 7, Ridgeview 8, Burns 9, and Gaffney 10. So well represented. And then Spartanburg has lost a couple of games. They didn't get any votes. TL Hanna and also Greenville. And you know, you talk about Greenville winning at home over Gaffney 17-14. That Dorman team that beat Greenville here 34-0. And we'll have on Halloween will be TL Hanna will be at Greenville. And
Serene Stadium that holiday night.
And Watson, who was at J.L. Mann, is now the head coach.
Yes.
Dave Shaw was there for 1 year at Greenville. So
and who turned J.L. Mann into a conversation piece during the time there. So that will be interesting when those two get together. You know, we had his J.L. Mann team against TL Hanna.
Yes, we did.
And now we'll see the Greenville Red Raiders having, as you said, already made some noise at times this year. You know, the one area, that penalty a moment ago, and Dorman as a result going to be set to kick it away here. That penalty, the 10th penalty tonight, 80 yards penalized for Dorman. The one area that you know the Dorman staff is going to focus on is tightening some of that up because of what it can do to you in a close ball game down the stretch in this one. But Dorman in command in the 4th as the Cavaliers kick it away with 8:16 left to go. And by the time this rolls dead, 8 and change do remain in the football game. But the Cavaliers still lead handily, 27-0. night dinner gets you stressed? Stop by Ingles for great choices from the Ingles Deli, rotisserie chicken, freshly made salads, and a delicious hot bar and sub bar. Dinner and a snap, then it's off to the game. Ingles, low prices, love the savings. Bowling Springs taking over, looking for points in the fourth period. Dorman turned aside time and again here in the second half. Still staked to that 27-0 lead the Cavaliers built in the first 2 quarters of action. Tom, you're keeping an eye on scores. It's been a wild year, and some of these scores will bear that out again. Already a little bit of a, you look at here, kind of lopsided in the playoffs a year ago one way, lopsided the other way here with some changes personnel-wise, staff-wise, and otherwise from one week to the next. You scratch your head when you hear some of the scores come across. What are you keeping an eye on tonight?
Well, Dorman and Gaffney come in at 2-0 in Region 5A2 here. Gaffney at Eastside in the fourth leads at 33-29 in a close one there, 52-0. Spartanburg leads at Wade Hampton. And also Burns has a big lead at Riverside, 42-14 in the fourth. So Dorman and Gaffney coming in, we're 6 and 10 respectively in 5A. Burns 9, Burns, Riverside, Bowling Springs, Spartanburg 101, and Wade Hampton Eastside 0-2.
So that's what's happening around the upstate. We remain in this region, in Region 2. Next week, as we travel to Gaffney, it'll be Burns heading into the reservation. That's always a critical one in Region 2. They tried for Jaden Great down the near side on a deep shot, but it was incomplete. So 3rd down and 10 for Bowling Springs here. Cole's been out there in recent drives and tries to unfurl one to midfield. Did he bring it in? Absolutely.
Wow.
What a catch by Trayshawn Suber. The catch of the night, the moment of the night for the Bulldogs of Bowling Springs.
And that is a tremendous catch. Double coverage, great coverage there. And he just high pointed the ball, went up, rise, make that catch. Comes down between a pair of defenders. Outstanding catch.
Well, looking for points. Bowling Springs into Dorman territory. Tom, as much on that toss, in essence, as Bowling Springs has gained all night long. And here's another deep shot, but too many blue jerseys there, and Dorman would have the takeaway. It's a pick for the Cavaliers, and rushing it near side until it's eventually out of bounds is Corey Hayden Brown. Going to take that back this direction as you get a look at Dorman's latest takeaway. Yeah, there he is. Great look at Brown. And boy, Tom, in every facet tonight, the Dorman Cavaliers have risen to the occasion.
Man, I'll tell you what, a call hung in there. He got drilled as he let it go. And it's been really great coverage downfield. There's 3 in the general area there. We saw that great catch a moment ago, but another turnover, and they have been very good in that category this year.
Yeah, the initial long toss by Call, and you had a bright moment as it was brought home by Trayshawn Suber, but one play later, it's up in the grasp of Brown, and that's got to hand it back to Dorman with 6:45 left to play. We got a Bowling Springs player down now that the training staff is going to tend to. And both teams going to come to their respective sidelines here in the fourth quarter. Appears as if that maybe 22 we're being told. Christian McMurray, perhaps. Tom, I know you're.
He's had a good night. Yeah, there it is. Yep.
It is.
Make sure.
And McMurray up under his own power. That's a good sign for 22.
Yeah, he's had a good night. I tell you, trying to unload that ball downfield, and the coverage has been really, I think, exceptional. You're talking about a Bowling Springs team that came in at 201.8 passing per game with 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions off 341 and 4 touchdowns for Logan his last time out against Eastside. And then we just told you that's right now they've given Gaffney everything they want.
Absolutely.
In the 33-29 ball game in the fourth quarter at Eastside right now.
Doesn't that change the look of things?
And Dorman and Spartanburg next week at Spartanburg.
Got it. Always critical, that one. Dorman gets Gaffney at the end here in the land of the Cavaliers, if you're wondering how the schedule shakes out. So those are worth keeping an eye on. And it's going to be a positive. And, you know, Tom, you go back to that drive, you talk about unfurling. 2 completed passes for Logan, 2 completed passes for Call in the game. And it's kind of emblematic of the night for Bowling Springs. I'll go back and underscore it. That toss, the Call completion to Suber, more yards on that one than total yards in the football game as a whole for Bowling Springs tonight. You have to tip your cap to the Dorman defense for limiting that. And their offense now trying to salt one away in the 4th quarter with a Greenville awning first down. There's that complimentary football that Coach Morris and his staff were talking about. Directing a little traffic before he takes a deep shot, and that falls right where it needs to, but incomplete. Not quite able to complete the catch and bring it in. Boy, it looked like there for a moment Ford had it, but it just slides away in the end.
I think it was Tamaje Brown in addition to Jamarcus Means, and both those guys have been in on about, seems like about every play here tonight. I thought that also coming there late, I think, was a young man that just went on a moment ago. So trying, you know, and you know, you wonder about throwing the ball deep. You're up 27-0, but you know,
holding
you're working
against
on
the
things.
offense.
There's a penalty.
It's a 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. We'll replay first down.
Anthony Peaks.
Yeah, Anthony Peaks. Intended target there a moment ago. You talked about it, Tom. That was right after the injury we saw just a little bit earlier, the Christian McMurray back in the thick of things as well. But there's a reminder, that storied history we were talking about for the Dorman Cavaliers, and that's a shot that nearly saw fruit a moment ago. First down from the 39. Ground game to the heart of that Dorman logo, as spinning and winding forward is Carter Nash. You know, let's talk about the work tonight on the ground for the Cavaliers. Dorman, from a rushing standpoint, Means obviously the 116 yards on 17 carries. Tate, 6 carries, 60 yards. Nash now toting the ball 4 times for right at some 20 yards. Chavez Thomas also 1 touch of the football in the rushing department. I'll go back to that conversation we were having earlier. Dorman, as they reminded us tonight, and again, Dorman has not had to be full stop on this one in the second half based on the lead they built in the first half. But when Dorman has to pull out all the stops, this a window into how many different weapons the Cavaliers have with which to come at you, Tom.
Well, you saw the first play of the game, and you're probably loading up the box there. Good run. Nash getting some yardage there and some time here. And because 74% of their plays had been on the ground, you open it up with a swing pass, and it sets the tone right there. And then you go back, and you got the experienced offensive line able to get it done and get on the ground, and then that sets them up some other things that you want to try to develop a little bit later on. So I think, yeah, from an offensive standpoint, they've been able to do what they wanted to do. They set it up with a pass to begin things early on in this game.
Third down, another rush across the 45 and down to the 42-yard line. If you weren't with us, it's going to be 4th down and about 2. If you weren't with us for what Tom is referencing, maybe you found us a little later tonight. First play from scrimmage, swing pass, 57-yard touchdown to Tragan Mickler. 2 touchdowns for Nick Means, made it 21-0. 2 field goals from far, made it 27-0. That was the score at the half. It remains the score with inside 4 minutes remaining in the football game. 4th and 1. And you knew you couldn't come to Dorman without seeing it at least once, right?
Yeah.
Here is the Gator package for the Cavaliers, and they'll run right side, and it appears that that's going to be enough for the first down. Let's see where they actually spot this. Judging from where the official walked over, it looks as if, although you got to glance all the way across to the far side, that was just enough for the first down, but we'll see.
They had Isaac Tate in there.
They're eyeballing it and may decide to measure.
It's a good job up front because you know it's coming.
It is a first down going to go ahead and make the indication. Yeah, you said it. When Dorman lines up in that package, pretty good idea what you can expect.
You know, one of these days they'll do that, take one step and throw it over, and like Tim Tebow back in the days, into the end zone for a touchdown at some point, maybe.
There are other things you can work off of that, but the trademark Gator package for Dorman keeps the football in the hands of the Cavaliers. 3:26 and ticking downward it goes. Another handoff, this time to Carter Nash. And Carter Nash approaching 10 carries of his own and up over 40 yards now in the football game. 3 and change remaining with Dorman in command and the football in hand.
So Dorman comes in averaging 33.8, the least they've scored this year in a game at the top of Ridge, 30-7. But you flip it over defensively, and they've done an outstanding job as well. The 42 to Greenwood and the 21 to Burns. The rest have been 0-3, 7 and 0 here tonight.
Trending towards staying that way. 0 here tonight as Dorman keeps moving the football. That's a Greenville awning first down.
They've been able to come up with turnovers, and I know they missed a couple of field goals, but got a pair there late in the first half, and one of them came after a late interception that set that up and able to produce. So going to get out of here with a good win.
Seam and untouched to the end zone. Dorman will have its first touchdown of the second half as the Cavaliers, we said how many different weapons have made their mark on the ground tonight. Isaac Tate has his, with 6 more on the board for the Cavaliers. That's the exclamation point on what looks to be a key Region 2 victory for Dorman. It's the South Carolina Army National Guard touchdown run of Isaac Tate that puts Dorman back in the end zone.
First touchdown they got in the second half. Missed a couple field goals, but put one more on the board to keep that string of 30+ going.
Well, a touchdown for Dorman that built off of the pick for the Cavaliers. Defense, a catalyst for offense this time around. We'll call that interception, which stopped Bowling Springs' push a moment ago toward the end zone. Our school bus stop of the game.
Stop of the game. Always remember to stop when the school bus arm is out.
School bus stop of the game. Obviously a reminder to you that nationwide, when you see the stop sign out, the lights flashing, you have to bring it to a halt. This is Dorman's effort that brought that last drive for Bowling Springs to a halt, eventually culminating in the touchdown you just saw.
Aiden Brown able to make that play.
Responsible for our school bus stop of the game. Well, Tom, 2:01 left tonight.
School bus stop of the game. Always remember to stop when the school bus arm is out.
Tom, you look at where we are tonight, 2 and change remaining in the football game, and Dorman just complete in all facets. Yes, some of the penalties the Cavaliers may want to clean up, but the defense with the takeaways when they've needed it to turn aside the Bowling Springs drives, and the offense now with a second half moment alongside the 27 points they had secured in the first half of action.
It was a Bowling Springs team that was coming off a fine performance, put 42 on the board against Eastside and racked up some passing touchdowns, 4 of them over 300 yards, and really shut it down here tonight. And every time they've tried to go deep, I mean, there's been at least 2, if not more, receivers. It's been very difficult. They want a really good leaping catch, produce one of the biggest plays of the game.
368 yards of total offense, 255 on the ground, 113 through the air for Dorman, and Bowling Springs to this point limited to 63, and over half that coming on 1 toss of the football on that most recent drive. Just shy of the 40, that's where Bowling Springs will take over. You look ahead for both these teams. How do you size up the rest of 2025? Let's start with the Bowling Springs Bulldogs.
Talked about a young team. They got a win at Greer earlier, 23-18, lost at Malden, 21-14. Beat Chapman, 56-0. They had the tough game, and everybody, to a certain extent, will at Gaffney. 34-7, bounced back last week, 42-17. Tough one here. Then you've got Wade Hampton, so you could get a little bit better in that particular game. But Wade Hampton has lost now 20 consecutive games. Then you're home with Spartanburg at Riverside, and then you got Burns. So you've got some tough ones that are coming up. But I think the game next week comes at a good time for them. The same thing with Eastside, although Eastside was really battling Gaffney tonight after the Gaffney game. So we'll see how they bounce back coming up next week. And then you want to flip it over the other way. You've got for Dorman, they've got at Spartanburg, at Wade Hampton, then Gaffney comes here, as you mentioned, then they finish up at Eastside.
Well, we have a third quarterback tonight for Bowling Springs. Like a Camp taking over at the quarterback position. Going to hand this off right side. So that's what, as Tom walks you through, is ahead for these two. Dorman moments ago seemingly putting the finishing touches on this with that 9-play, 61-yard drive. Tom, 4:49 off the game clock and a 25-yard touchdown run for Isaac Tate. That a drive for Dorman to build on in the second half following the interception. It's going to be the final memory, perhaps offensively, for the Cavaliers, save for perhaps a kneel down, something Bowling Springs is trying to prevent. The other thing the Bulldogs are trying to prevent right now, and here's another nice catch by Suber to that end, is a shutout. They got 1:05 to put something on the board. They turn to the young man who slings one in there for a first down. That's a Greenville awning first down. As Camp looks strong here. Steps up, gonna run with it. So he gets his introduction to Region 2, well, more of an introduction than you'd hope for in that moment, and flags are going to fly. I was just going to say he's getting his introduction to Region 2 football in this final moment of the game against Dorman, and you hope all is well over there as he's going to be hit out of bounds, and they'll tack a few more on to what was an impressive run as he used the wheels to get up near the first down marker.
After the play was over, personal foul against the defense, late hit out of bounds, 15-yard penalty, first down.
We'll see that late, but looks like all is well as he's set to continue, and that's going to run that penalty tally a little higher. That's the one thing on his mind. You can almost guarantee it, Tom. We mentioned it, double-digit penalties for nearly a football field tonight, and it will be right at it on the Dorman side now. And that's the one area, despite a 34, what right now stands as a 34-0 outcome, if it stays this way, that he and his staff will be looking to try and clean up next week. So much to build on. Bowling Springs looking for something to build on right here in this one. Young man shows his toughness, staying in there and firing toward the corner, but that's picked off. One final takeaway for the Cavaliers. And rushing near side with it, Jabez Thomas does a little bit of everything for this Dorman team, and he has the final say defensively.
Yeah, threw it up, kind of a jump ball situation, and talked about his couple of interceptions last week against Burns. One of them went 34 yards for a touchdown.
Couple of? Quite the week for him in terms of the interceptions. Comes away with another right here, right now. 4 interceptions total. As you said, couple of last week. Another one here today. Just remarkable, doing that more than once in a single game as he did last week, as you referenced, Tom, and then adding to the totals on the season with this one.
Just to kind of update, Gaffney has scored again. It's 40-29 of the fourth at Eastside. Looks like they may win it.
Spartanburg a winner. We gave you the final earlier, so that's going to set up a showdown between a Spartanburg team coming off a big win, a Dorman team coming off a big win, as Dorman travels to the land of the Vikings for the cross-county rivalry here in Spartanburg 1 week from tonight. Final seconds working their way off the game clock. Dorman built a commanding 27-0 lead in the opening half. It started on the first play from scrimmage, which was a 57-yard touchdown toss. It ends 34-0. All Cavaliers on this night. We'll be back to wrap it, have the Bojangles Trophy presentation, and a whole lot more in a moment. Dorman Cavaliers with 360-plus yards of offense tonight, 34 points on the board. Defense pitches a shutout. The offense set the tone, scoring on the first play from scrimmage. Add it all up, Cavaliers put another one in the win column. They are standing by for the Bojangles Trophy presentation with Nelson.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Jason. This is the Coach's Corner, brought to you by Carolina Furniture Contest. Well, Coach, first thing is first, congratulations on a phenomenal win here tonight. This is the kind of game that we love to see on Friday Night Rivals. It was a rematch game from last year. It was a big-time rivalry game. It was a shutout victory as well, and you guys look quite excited back there. Are you guys excited tonight? Let's talk about your thoughts on the second half of the game, Coach.
I thought we played hard all night. You know, we did a lot of good things. Really proud of these guys. Our goal was always the next one, go 3-0 in the region. That's what we've done tonight, so proud of them.
Yes, sir. Well, Coach, with tonight's win, y'all locked in a 5-1 record. As the playoff picture comes into very early focus, how critical was tonight's victory?
It's huge. I mean, every game in this region is huge. For your playoff prediction and where you finish in the region, every week's a battle, and this was no different.
So what can we expect from y'all from next week, Coach?
Well, we got to continue to play hard. We got to clean a lot of things up. These guys are good, and they're going to come to work on Monday, and we're ready to roll.
I like your attitude, Coach. Well, Coach, this belongs to you. Congratulations, Coach. Congratulations, Tom!
Cavaliers all business tonight. 34 on the board. They all belong to Dorman. Just an impressive win in all facets for Dorman, Tom.
Yeah, just a solid 34 points. They've had 30-plus every single game this year. Defense, you get the shutout there. He talked about complimentary football all phases of the game. Missed a couple field goals, but got a couple as well. Interception set the tone. Need to clean the penalties a little bit, but overall, you got to feel pretty good.
A few new faces, including coordinator position. Coach really coming into his own in terms of getting his fingerprints now. A few years into this program, talking about the Dorman head coach, whose connection to this program is through and through, from a player, long-time coach over a decade, and now at the helm of this program. They seem to really be clicking here in 2025. It's all Dorman tonight. We will remain in Region 2 next week. The usual rivalry showdown between the Burns Rebels, the Gaffney Indians. Until you join us at the reservation next Friday night, thanks for joining us and enjoy the rest of your weekend. For our entire crew, we say thank you for spending your Friday with us. Always a pleasure to have you on Bojangles Friday Night Rivals. For Tom Ben Hoy, Nelson down on the field, Jason Patterson saying Thanks again, and congratulations to the Dorman Cavaliers. Another statement win for the home team as they shut out Bowling Springs, avenging that playoff loss from a season ago. See you in Gaffney next Friday night on Bojangles Friday Night Rivals.